1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
On fourth down, Jared up under center, turns, gives it to Montgomery, gets the first down. Jared tripped as he came out from behind center, handed it to Demo, just barely got it to him. He got the first down to the 14-yard line. You let that clock run now. Down to 30, and the Packers can't stop it.
This was the play that's causing all the controversy. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Thank you to Dan Miller and Lions Radio for that one. David Montgomery converting on a 4th and 1, but really more like inches, Perloff. The problem was, if you think there is a problem, Dan Campbell didn't need to take this amount of risk. He could have kicked a 38-yard field goal, but instead want to play more about the clock. Did not want to leave any time for Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers because the Detroit defense was banged up. And I don't know about you, but I'm all here for it. Mm-hmm. Dan Campbell has found a secret weapon, which is reckless abandon going for 4th downs. And I think it's become an intimidating factor with teams. I really do. It's the identity. People know they're doing it, and good luck stopping it. I think this has become a major asset for the Lions.
Yeah, I totally disagree. I think the Lions are clearly the best team in the NFC, and this kind of stuff gives everybody else a chance. I mean, obviously, we saw what happened last night. They're deep in their own territory. Go for it, a 4th and a long one, and don't even come close.
Yeah, that was earlier in the game, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't that much. Yeah, it was the 4th quarter, right? And so they run this stretch play where Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't even get close to the line. Then they have this play last night, key play. Jared Goff falls down, barely gets a handoff to David Montgomery, shows the risk in that play. They could have given it to the Packers with 30-something seconds left, no timeouts. It would have been hard. You could have played prevent on that 40-yard line. I understand Jordan Love was getting hot, but still, the Lions are like the best team, but they let everyone have a chance. In my mind, like even last night, the whole game, you felt like the Lions were the better team, but they're screwing around. They're letting the Packers hang around.
See, I think Dan Campbell's just playing the game he's in. And by the way, he'd probably play this game 10 times out of 10, but his defense, they were bleeding out, basically. He's losing dudes left and right. They had so many linebackers down. They had so many defensive guys down, defensive backs. They're a shell of themselves. I think he was doing the thing that was going to help his team the most, which is don't ask you to defend Jordan Love, who you mentioned got hot in the second half. Jordan Love was 3 for 7 for 31 yards in the first half, 9 for 13, 175 yards and 3 touchdowns in the second half. I mean, he came alive, and I think the Packers are kicking themselves because I think they even left a little bit more, even though they scored 31 points. I think the offense still even left a lot on the field. But still, this was the move. And again, we talk about boogeyman aspects. I talk about this a lot with the Kansas City Chiefs and how they always find a way to win and it's improbable. And I think that helps them. I think people think sometimes they're unbeatable. I think Dan Campbell's doing this with the 4th down stuff with the Lions. I think becoming like this is what they're going to do. Good luck stopping it. And they seem to be getting better and better at it.
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, yes, obviously the Eagles have an unstoppable 4th down play. They have that tush push. Feel like the Lions, if they just played normal on 4th down, they would win every game by 10 points. I feel like they're the best team. It's an equalizer. To me, it's like, and I put this out on social media, I think that, they're letting the rest of the field catch up to them because they're going to be reckless on 4th down. We saw in last year's playoffs, obviously.
Yep.
And last night at their own 30, I don't know why. And I'm saying this, I actually wish I'd said it before. They went for it. I'm like, oh my God, this is the dumbest thing ever. They're not going to make this. Because I think deep inside the offensive players know this is a stupid call. They didn't make it. The Packers score an easy touchdown. Again, and the other thing too is the Lions, like Jared Goff.
Well,
I mean, that one interception, they have 3 factors to me that make them vulnerable. Otherwise, they'd be a runaway favorite because they're so wildly talented. The fourth down mistakes, the Jared Goff interception that is completely unnecessary, and the injuries on defense. All 3 of them. I don't know what the Super Bowl odds are today, but I downgrade them a little bit after last night.
Okay, so here's the interesting thing, and they put this up on the graphic where Jared Goff's interceptions, it's like he's not really throwing a lot. He had the 5 interception game against the Houston Texans, which they won, by the way. But he had interceptions early in the season. Even I questioned what was going on with their offense early in the year. But then he goes these long stretches where he doesn't turn the ball over.
Against bad teams.
And by the way, he even got stepped on this critical 4th and inches that we played the highlight for you coming out of the top of the show. He gets stepped on by one of his offensive linemen. Probably's got size like 15 plank shoes, like me. Big feet. I get it. It's good for balance. He gets stepped on, still falls, still is able to get the ball to David Montgomery to get the first down. It's just, and that, by the way, that could have gone to David Montgomery. That could have gone to Gibbs. That could have gone to Laporta. That could have gone to Amon-Ra St. Brown. That could have gone to Jameson Williams. That could have gone to a million different guys. And good luck to the Packers. They were not stopping that 4th and inches.
Except for the one before where they stopped Gibbs, who you just mentioned in that list.
Okay, but then they brought back Montgomery. It's like if they just had Gibbs or they just had this guy or just had that guy, then maybe I'd say it's more of a liability, but you don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah,
I mean,
fourth, they kind of seem to know literally the one right before.
They stopped it. Well, okay,
they stopped it once, but
they stopped it one time. They stopped literally. The Lions were 4 for 5 on 4th down.
And you mentioned that Jared Goff has been super clean for a while, but he's been playing the AFC South. So honestly, I take all 4 of those games completely off the table. Nobody in their right mind is going to risk throwing an interception when you can easily beat the Colts, the Jaguars, even the Texans.
5 of those picks were against the Texans.
Yeah. Well, right, but Maggie took that game out of the list.
That's kind of an anomaly, guys. 5 picks in one game. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't trust it. They're making him make too many weird plays. Like there was a play where he made on 3rd down where he was moving around and he found probably Tim Patrick, who he always finds.
Yeah.
Now,
how about that guy? 2 touchdowns last night.
But there was a play where Goff was moving his feet and got a 3rd down. I'm like, oh, great. Wait till the playoffs when he has to move around. That's going to cause a problem for the Lions.
Okay, well, you're talking about how you think Goff might be getting a little bit fatter. He's only clean on games against the AFC South. The reality is this team's 12-1. This is the best start in the history of the franchise. They've won 11 straight wins. And oh, by the way, they're undefeated against their own division, the NFC North. That's widely thought of, I think we can all agree, toughest division in the NFL this year. And they're 4-0. So I can't just say, wow, they beat up the Jags and they beat up this and that. They also have swept the Packers now. They beat the Minnesota Vikings, and they held on to beat the Bears on Thanksgiving. We all saw that one. They're that good. And they've got this secret weapon, which is their head coach is like crazy, like a fox. I think it's a weapon. You think it's a liability.
Yeah. I have to be honest. Like, I watched that game as an Eagles fan last year through Eagles' eyes. Like, ooh, okay, there's some opportunities. We know James Williams is an idiot. He'll have a personal foul. You saw a lot of dumb things. Like, they do some dumb things. There's just no way around it. They are on paper with that offensive line and those 2 running backs.
They had their left tackle out last night.
They should. The guy who's in for him is 6'9", 450 pounds.
Just flopping everywhere. What the hell was that about?
And they
didn't allow pressure for like 3.5 quarters.
But you could see, and actually, by the way, to the Packers' credit, like they just put like 9 guys in the box. Like that run game should be able to bleed the clock. They should, on paper, they are the best team. They look like a Super Bowl team. But do you 100% trust them? That's the question. Like it just feels like, ooh. They have some loose spots. You saw it against the Bears. You saw it last night. I mean, they got up 10-0. They really should have blown out the Packers last night. But somehow, all of a sudden, it's a game. I don't know why. They are very committed to game control. Like they're going to play really conservative and run the ball, which I like. But if you do that, like if you have a lot of offensive plays, you're setting up for a mistake. I just think I'm thinking of last year's playoffs. Like, remember what cost them?
Yeah, no, it was the
It was
fourth down.
fourth down
decision. I
calls.
get it.
It was Goff moving his feet and trying to make a play.
Well, this is why last night was
yeah.
even more important.
Yeah.
Because now they've got the inside track on the number 1 seed. So now they
Yeah.
only have to go 3-1 to finish out the season to get that number 1 seed. Super important because the Lions need the home field. I think it's better for them. It's not that Goff, listen, he won a rainy game in Lambeau last month, but I think they want that indoor number 1 seed. Let's hear from Dan Campbell, shall we? The Danimal. The decision to go for it on that very controversial fourth down, which ended up bleeding the clock and leading to a walk-off field goal.
Just felt like we needed to end it on offense, and I did not want to give that ball back, and I believed we could get that. I believed we could convert, and I trusted that O-line. I trusted David, and they came through for us. It's a hell of a call by Ben.
And honestly, too, it is the strength of the team. You mentioned it yourself. The offensive line's the strength. The run game is the strength. And last night, and until these guys get healthier on defense, the defense is not the strength. Because in the second half, you saw the Packers get right back into this game immediately.
Let me ask you a question. If Jared Goff had tripped and they really couldn't get the handoff right and they stuffed him right there, you'd be saying the same exact thing right now.
Did I not defend Dan Campbell after the NFC Championship game last year? I was the only one on the show who defended him.
EJ, check the tape on that one.
To ask Pete Bellotti. I thought Pete was going to, I thought we were going to have a fist fight in the break room.
I remember
Pete was
Kostos.
so bad.
I remember our friend Nick Kostos was defending him.
Listen,
I don't remember you being like, that was the right call. That was the right call.
I know, but Perloff, you don't remember what happened 5 minutes ago.
So
you can't trust your memory.
You've been a consistent defender of Dan Campbell, always going for it on fourth down.
What did I say? I said you have to stay true to who you are and what you do, right? I did say that. I've been consistent on that. What my one tweak on this is I think now it's a weapon. I could justify it last year in the NFC Championship game because that's who they are. It's what they've been doing. Everyone on the offense and the team knows this is our jam. Now I think it's a weapon. Now I think it's intimidating to other teams.
It's a weapon they absolutely don't need. It's a weapon that can backfire on them. I don't know what that's called when you shoot something and it goes back at you, but
boomerang, maybe?
They don't need this weapon. This is a weapon that opens up the game to all sorts of practice. If they were healthy on defense, they're the best team. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Why would they even use this weapon?
Can I flip, though? You just asked me if they had not gotten it on the 4th and inches.
Would you have been?
Would I be this, effusive in my praise for Dan Campbell, blah, blah. I'll do one better. What if they kick the field goal instead of going for it on the 4th and inches, and they leave Jordan Love 50 seconds or whatever.
Right.
And Jordan Love, who had been on fire in the second half. And by the way, the one besides Josh Jacobs, who didn't have a lot of yardage totals last night, but obviously was super effective. What if it's an explosive play to Christian Watson, which got them back into this game to begin with in the second half?
Right.
And what if it's a Jordan Love explosive play and all of a sudden you left Jordan Love too much time. And now this game is remembered as the legend of Jordan Love who came into your building a second time and beat you.
Well,
then
Josh Jacobs
we'd be saying, wow, Dan Campbell, you should have went for it. You're Mr. Fourth Down. You go for it all the time. If he had left enough time for Jordan Love, I think we'd be criticizing him for that too.
So there are 43 seconds left when they ran the play. There's no, you don't even, I don't even know if Jacobs is on the field for that last drive, but you can't really, can't land in the field of play. Right. So you can't, so there's no plays. I think that's you don't trust your defense enough in that situation.
$220 million quarterback.
I mean, Christian Watson, all you have to do, that play, the entire defense is stacked up for Josh Jacobs, and that's why Christian Watson escaped on that one play. I don't know in that scenario that the Green Bay was so easily going to move it down the field.
Well, but their explosive plays were a thing last night. And because Detroit's defense was so banged up, I think we could play the what-if game a few different ways is what I'm trying to say.
So you like the one where they went for it on their 32 and that led to the short Packers score? So
listen, I watched John Harbaugh do that. I've watched Belichick do that. I've watched coaches do that. It feels bananas at the time, and it obviously set up a Green Bay touchdown. It feels crazy, but it's just who they are.
I keep hearing this, who they are. Doesn't every situation merit a completely different decision?
I don't think so. I think there are some teams that play conservative. You hate it when teams have defensive head coaches because you always think they play too conservative. Yeah. I think some teams have it in there. This is our identity. I don't know. Unless you think these buzzwords are kind of stupid corporate speak, but I think it's kind of true. I do think it's an outlook.
I feel like if the Lions just played straight up against any team, especially in the NFC, I don't know about the Chiefs, like they're going to beat them and beat them soundly. I think all this like sort of shenanigans makes them a little bit vulnerable.
EJ, let's start up on the poll if you don't mind. Dan Campbell and the fourth down decisions by the Lions. Does this make them more intimidating or more vulnerable? What do you think? 855-212-4227.
Maggie, I will throw that poll up, but we got something breaking here. So, it's nothing serious, but Andrew Kaplan may be the quickest. I want to call him quick draw McGraw because somehow he has found the audio from the NFC Championship game. He did this in like 0.5 seconds. So we have this audio.
I defended him.
So we will decide now if Maggie defended or was she wishy-washy that she criticized Dan Campbell.
All
this was from after the
God.
NFC Championship game.
Grow up. Stop making these fourth down calls. It's not a Madden game. This is an NFL playoff game. How can you defend Dan Campbell?
I can defend Dan Campbell because they were a 12-win team and a team that got to where they've got to based on this philosophy. To abandon it at this time would have been the ultimate just boneheaded move. It would have been the ultimate, you don't have an identity. If you say you have an identity and going for it on these fourth and shorts, which is not at the 25, by the way, he's doing this in plus territory. Man, I need some new material, but I am very consistent on this. Basically said the same thing this morning. Holy moly.
There you go.
Believe me now.
But I'm a little worried, though, for the Lions because they lost that game. So is this going to be what's going to happen to keep following the Maggie Gray School of Coaching? Are they going to lose another playoff game doing this?
I think they're going to win because of this.
Oh, man. I'm so psyched about this, by the way. Let's face it. At home, the Lions are going to beat the Eagles.
I was going to say, do you feel comfortable?
I mean, they're probably
if the Eagles had to go into
they're probably
field?
like a 5-point favorite, but thank God Dan Campbell's doing this because, I mean, to give Nick Sirianni a chance at coaching edge, you have to be really creative. I also think, there's some plays on the Lions where they just, they get loose. You could even see last night, they should have won that game handily last night. I don't really know what was happening, why that was so close. And all of a sudden you looked and it's like, wait, the Packers are leading in the third quarter? How did that happen?
Well, because guys on the Lions defense were basically in body bags by the end. And Jordan Love got hot.
Yeah, I mean, they had two really short fields. Again, think about the games. They lost to the Bucs because Goff threw the same exact interception that he threw last night. And they almost lost this game because Goff threw an interception. They blew a fourth down call. And also, I don't know. I just don't trust all their players. I trust Tim Patrick. I always love that guy as a Bronco. I trust the two running backs. I just think that somebody's going to take the formula the Packers did last night. All right, let's try and stuff the run and make Jared Goff beat you. At some point, I don't know. I feel like there's a mistake coming. I feel like that NFC title game could duplicate itself. We could see that again.
855-212-4227. Question, simple. Answer's not simple. Is Dan Campbell a weapon or a liability? 855-212-4227. Okay, lots more to do, including we had got some weird news yesterday. We also we've got something to tell you about our dear friend, Mr. Andrew Perloff, which we'll get to. A side of you that people around here didn't see until the first time.
Okay.
Yeah. People think, Perloff, he's a layered guy.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's a lot to you, is what I'm saying. More to you than just meets the eye, right?
Honestly, I missed something. I'm not sure.
Okay. 855-212-4227. All right, one thing we know about Perloff, though, he loves Prize Picks. So do I.
I won big time on Prize Picks last
tell
night,
us
by the
about
way. For some reason, because I've been saying so many nice things about Jahmyr Gibbs, I went under on his running.
You zagged a little?
Yeah. I zagged a little. Of course, Jahmyr Gibbs is such an amazing pass catcher.
Maggie's phone buzzing again. It's way precision knows it's Perloff, humming that familiar tune. Yo, Maggie got a stack, let me break it down. Prize pick song popping, gonna take the crown. She's heard it all before, every prop, every play. Just one peaceful moment, he's got something to say. Perloff, go away. someone else, let a girl be free. He's got stats on his mind, over-unders on deck, calling Maggie again like a human group text. Maggie, you're missing out, this is pure gold. Let's parlay this win, we'll be legends bold. She's got a show to prep, real life on the line, but here comes Perloff for the 100th time. Perloff, go away, take your prize picks and run. I don't care if you hit or you're up by one. I'm dodging your calls, I just need some peace. Talk to someone else, let a girl be free. Got a show to prep, real life on the line, but here comes Perloff for the 100th time. Perloff, go away, take your prize picks and run. I don't care if you hit or you're up by one. I'm dodging your calls, I just need some peace. Talk to someone else, let a girl be free. He's dreaming of millions, she's dreaming of quiet, but Perloff's pitch, oh, she can't deny it. Maggie, just one more, I swear it's a lock. She throws down the phone, time to change the clock. Perloff, go away, take your prize picks and run. I don't care if you hit or you're up by one. I'm dodging your calls, I just need some peace. Talk to someone else, let a girl be free. Perloff, it's over, no more plays today. Find a new phone friend or just go away.
Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Two things last night that gave me hope as an Eagles fan that the Lions can be beat because they look like the team to beat right now, but I don't like the fourth down shenanigans. I also think Green Bay is going to have to go back there for a third time, so they're going to have to beat this Green Bay team 3 times in a row. I was like, drop that game so you don't have to deal with that issue. Because Green Bay, you could see like they're licking their chops. Like they want another shot at Detroit because game flow wise, that could have gone a little differently. It is going to be the Detroit is obviously the team to beat. They're 12-1. But it's going to be a very, very competitive NFC field. Like, there's going to be close games with Detroit. So that's why I'm sort of bringing up this, do you trust Dan Campbell? Is there any, you basically are going to need to be perfect to get past Green Bay and Philly. They probably could, but, man, I would not want to mess around. I would just play straight-up football, run that ball down everyone's throat, and try and win normally.
This is their version of playing straight-up football. And last night was so important because now they do have the inside track on the number 1 seed. I agree with you on one thing. We don't agree about Dan Campbell. We're asking today, is he a weapon or a liability? I will agree with you on one thing. I don't think the Eagles are going into Detroit and winning. I think that home field advantage matters. I don't think it'd be a 5.5-point spread. I think you're too fat on that, but maybe like 3.5, 3.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think the Eagles are scared of that particular game.
Maybe not, but I would feel much better if I were the Eagles if I were at home, and now it doesn't look like that's going to happen, barring some real breakdown from Detroit. Like, it looks like they're getting the number 1 seed. You're going to have to go to Detroit if you want to go to the Super Bowl.
Especially because the Detroit has a conference tiebreaker almost sewed up. No, I mean, because if Detroit...
They're 4-0 in the division.
Right. If they lose to your Bills, then it's not going to kill them at all, where the Eagles have 2 losses already. You're right. It's probably going to go through Detroit. But I think that seems like a really close game. Obviously, it'll be a battle. It's amazing. The narrative of this season is the free agent running back. The fact that you saw Josh Jacobs running like crazy last night. You got Saquon, Derrick Henry. I think it's going to be an old school who can control the ball. That's what the Lions do best. It's not their 4th down thing. They just they had 6-minute drives and 8-minute drives. And that's really impressive.
How do you think they keep those drives alive?
Run the ball.
And going for it on 4th and keeping the chains moving.
I'm not sure I buy that. That's not how they're doing it.
Well, they're controlling the ball with the run game, controlling the game, by running the ball, but also keeping drives alive.
And who can do that just as well as they can?
I was just looking at the time of possession in this game. Detroit had the ball 36 minutes to 23 for the Packers. Now, a lot of that was the first half where the Packers couldn't buy a first down. Okay, we're asking you, is Dan Campbell a weapon or a liability? David is in Louisville. David, what do you think?
I believe the question is Dan Campbell, madman or genius? And it's genius so far. The whole damn world is watching this cat. And what he does so well, other than just his 4th down demeanor, however you want to put it, is the team, they're filled with tough guys. And that's what he has. That's what he's brought. And whether you like some of his 4th down decisions or not, doesn't matter because they're working.
You know, David, I think it's a good point, but Perloff, you and I have been doing this together now for a while. I think I know what you would say to that. You also think that this is a team, they're tough guys, but also are capable of losing focus at times and getting bad penalties.
Oh, definitely.
Am I reading that right from you?
Well, last night the officials were clearly wearing lion blue. I mean, there was no doubt that all the calls went to that. Actually concerns me big time that in the home field the Lions will get the calls again. But I think they can win straight up. I don't think they need to use what I'll call a little bit of a gimmick going for it on 4th down. If you line up the Joes against the Joes here, I think they're better than anybody. I think they're letting everyone sort of catch up to them.
Okay, so technically they both got flagged for 7 penalties, but here was a weird thing. I'm glad you brought up the officials because here's a funny thing. That replay review, I feel like that has not really been a huge thing in terms of spotting the ball in crucial times. Then all of a sudden last night, Amon-Ra St. Brown on that final drive, they initially gave him the first down. It did look a little close.
Right.
We have that yellow line, which is not official, but one of the greatest inventions in the history of sports television, or just history, the first down line. And then so the Packers call timeout, and then the replay review comes in and says, no, it's actually 3rd and inches, and then they get stopped, and it set up this controversial 4th and inches that they converted. I don't remember replay review coming in like that to spot the ball in that kind of crucial
But they did on
moment.
the Goff touchdown, too. That was clear.
Right, they did it twice in this game. But I'm talking about the rest of the NFL.
I feel like replay review has no rules, right? Like instant replay. There's no, you can do it whenever you want.
Right, but it's funny because we've had some controversial face mask, no face mask. Like we've had other controversial plays, but I guess you just don't use it.
Well, they can't use it on the face mask. That's one thing.
Right, that we learned that from the Vikings game earlier.
It doesn't feel unusual to me that they fixed a spot. I don't know. It seems like there's always, every time the quarterback runs out of bounds and holds the ball over the yellow line, like the officials have no idea what to do. And then they're always, you could see them go to their ears. I'm not sure. Like, by the way, on the Goff touchdown that they took away, it was a sneak. I was so sure. We were all, Al Michaels and me were so sure. I'm like, that's a touchdown. And then I'm like, replay review. I want to see that again. And he was clearly short by a foot. The controversial one was when Jahmyr Gibbs got the first down and LaFleur threw the challenge flag. And then he needed that timeout later. That was close. I mean, this is a game of inches. Why don't they put a chip in the ball and have a electronic line and then do it that way, Maggie?
Well, do you know there is a conspiracy theory out there? I don't know if it rises to the level of conspiracy theory, but maybe. And I believe the chat was the ones who brought this up, the Weedos and the Coffee Drinkers at youtube.com/infinitysportsnet, twitch.tv/infinitysportsnetwork. That they think why kickers have been missing is because someone did put a chip in the ball and it's impacting something.
That would make sense. Yeah, it does feel like there's some unusual component.
Then why
it's just Justin Tucker's. It's just a practical joke.
But why would they put
Tucker for the Ravens?
Why would they put a chip in the K balls?
I don't know.
There's no first down there.
Listen, I didn't say it made sense. I said the chat brought it up.
You said it made sense.
I mean, it makes sense.
Right,
I was thinking about but then the K balls, like they don't have any first down. Why would they put a chip in that ball? But I guess you got to be consistent.
To move it? Is that what the theory is? That
they're controlling
they're
it.
joysticking the ball?
Goodell's got some kind of like N64 type
I thought you meant like the weight balance of the ball was off.
Well, that's what they meant too. Now we're just having a little fun. But, listen, you start tampering with the footballs and anything can happen.
Yeah, I've never understood the K ball. Like, what's going on with that ball? Like, I'm sure the Patriots did all sorts of things to those. But by the way, they are hitting longer field goals than ever, too. So what's going on there? Like, now you can hit a 62-yarder, but you can't hit a 29-yarder?
This is what happens when you go down the rabbit hole, guys. See you on the other side. Let's go to Brad. He's in Alabama. Hey, Brad.
Hey, what's up, M&P? How y'all doing this morning?
We're doing great.
Hey, question. Michigan always said that they were an academic school. Now, with them paying that 17-year-old $10 million, guaranteeing him to come to college.
Yeah.
Are they considered an academic school anymore or just a football school?
What did Cardell Jones say back in the day with Ohio State? I didn't come here to play school.
Right. Like, why do we even make these kids go to school anymore if it's really about NIL and money? And what I'm worried about is, what's this going to do to the NFL in the future if these kids are already millionaires before they get there? Is it going to change attitude? Is the NFL going to suffer? I mean, because if we just collapse college sports, there'd be no NFL. We could get rid of two big issues in this country at one time.
Brad, you're hitting us with the deep philosophical stuff this morning. I've got two thoughts on this. One, I don't think that the school aspect of this for certain guys is even close to the number one thing. And I think we know that, and I think we've accepted it. And I think sometimes to the detriment of the person, because I don't think they're even, if someone even wanted to say be pre-med, but they're also quarterback of the football team, there's no way the football team's going to allow them to do something that rigorous. Secondly, and I learned this from when I did a show with Bart Scott, who played linebacker for the Jets and Ravens for 11 years. And what he said about money is that it just makes you more of who you already are. So I think if you're a college kid and you get money and you are all of a sudden don't care anymore, Perloff, you maybe would have been someone who would have never been able to care. And if you're somebody who the money doesn't motivate you and it's just a nice perk and job well done and a nice benefit and it still keeps you hungry, then it will always keep you hungry.
That makes perfect sense. Two things that come to mind for me is, what if, depending on what the eventually the Supreme Court rules on House versus NCAA, if players are getting paid directly and if they're really allowed to unionize and have a contract, are you going to have to be a student at University of Alabama to play on the Alabama football team? That's sort of the worst nightmare. It does seem the sport is headed that way. In 10 years, like, are you going to have affiliated teams to the university? Like, are they even going to be students? Because I think legally, I think at some point, someone's going to say, hey, I don't have to enroll there to play there. You can't keep me off this team. So, because they're professional, right?
Right. I mean, that's an interesting one for a team of lawyers.
It's college, like a lot of college executives already talked about that. They're like, we can never have the team separated from the school. We'll see.
Can I pose one other thing? And we'll get to the update here, and Bogusch is here. How about this? If you are playing football at a Power 4 or Power 2 or however many power conferences we're going to have, and this is kind of your livelihood now. You've kind of chosen to take the football path. How about just classes that make you smarter in the field around you, which is managing your finances, how to deal with the things that come up in your world? How about financial literacy classes, how to invest, things that might actually apply and appeal to guys who are getting checks now, and these somewhat big checks, very young in life.
I love that theory.
Major in football,
you're thinking like
aspects.
Johnny Manziel was going to go to an accounting class just because he's going to have money coming on? Like, first of all, they're not going to class anyway. Second of all, like, listen, that means you don't believe in a liberal arts education. Like, taking a Shakespeare course might enrich these people's lives as well.
You can do that too. You can take some electives and extracurriculars, but they're not taking Shakespeare probably anyway.
It kind of sounds like you're like, they're so dumb that they probably can't even do the normal classes. That's how I read that.
Oh, no. Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, if you have all this money now coming in and you're 18 years old, 19 years old, I'm just thinking about myself. I didn't know anything about money then. I didn't know anything about money until into my late 30s. Yeah. It might be beneficial. How can I use this moment in time in my life to set me up for the future? I don't think that's being dumb. I think that's probably the smartest thing you can do.
I hear
Going
you.
into finance. I mean, that's what all the bros want to do, right?
I don't know. I hear you. Bros? And a lot of people have made that argument, but I kind of want like people to take history classes and understand like what happened in this world and why we're here. And like, if you're going to actually enroll in college and go there to expand your mind, not learn how to balance your checkbook.
Well, some people think college is for expanding your mind, and some people think it's for technical skills. Like my husband's an engineer, and he got to do other fun things like a wine tasting class or something. Like once they threw him a bone, but his classes were very technical oriented. Like, how do you build a bridge?
Wine tasting class?
Yeah, they had it at his school. It's great now. He can pick out a wine. It's like it's a valuable skill.
How do you fail that class?
He didn't fail it.
No, I'm saying, how does anybody fail?
Oh, nobody does. It's great.
I don't think you get full credit for that.
I don't know. It's like an elective. But what I'm saying is it was, all of his other classes were very, very technical. So some people don't just go to college to expand their mind. They go to learn technical stuff.
Yeah. But if you're going to actually like enroll, like, why don't you don't need all that stuff. You have a manager for all that. Why don't you take classes where you are exposed to wildly new things? That's what college is for. That's why, let's face it, American college is like the best thing we got going. People come from all over the world to go to our colleges because of liberal arts, not because they can learn some neat accounting tricks when they're $7 million a year running backs.
Well, I think it's both. Also, don't you just get exposed to that just by virtue of being on a college campus? And by the way, being a football player probably opens up the door for a lot of cool experiences that you'd never would have had. You get to meet interesting people, famous people, successful people. Football opens tons of doors for guys.
Yeah, I hear you. But then you might end up being like a 41-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury who thinks that the Tartarians built the pyramids. I'm saying,
that's like one specific quarterback named Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. It's just like
he had access to one of the great educations. Cal's a phenomenal institution. Anyway, let's get to Bogusch. Brad in Alabama got us down this rabbit hole.
Guys, good morning. Your headlines are sponsored by Prize Picks. Football season's heating up, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Download Prize Picks and use Prime Time to get prime time to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. Must be present in certain states where it's lawful to wager. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. They are 12-1 for the first time ever. They clinch a playoff spot. It's a franchise record 11th straight win, and they're 4-0 against the NFC North. The Lions accomplishing a lot with last night's 34-31 thriller over the Packers. But running back David Montgomery wants a little bit more.
We want the 1 seed, though, so it ain't enough. So we got to keep going. We got, 4 games left? 2 away, 2 home, and we got to go out and handle business.
Montgomery speaking on Westwood One after running for 51 yards and a touchdown. Fellow running back Jahmyr Gibbs had 73 scrimmage yards, caught one of Jared Goff's 3 touchdown passes, but their Lions didn't win until the final seconds when Jake Bates had a 35-yard field goal after that debatable 4th down conversion. Jordan Love did lead a second-half comeback for the Packers, but now they've been swept by Detroit.
That's one thing that we just got to continue to take it a week at a time, like we always talk about. Obviously, we got a couple games left here, and we're trying to finish on the right note and win out these last couple games and handle business, take it one game at a time, and obviously we'll see what happens postseason time.
The Packers dropping to 9-4, 2 games behind the Vikings in the loss column. More on this later this morning, but North Carolina is thinking about going young at head coach, reportedly talking to 72-year-old Bill Belichick about the head coaching job just held by 73-year-old Mac Brown. Utah State's expected to hire Bronco Mendenhall as its new head coach, bringing the former BYU boss back to the state. The Golden State Warriors didn't have Steph Curry or Draymond Green last night, but still snapped their 5-game skid.
Screen by Wiggins. Kuminga drives, slices between 2 defenders, and scores! He scored it with 16.9 to go. Gets a chest bump from Draymond, a big bump from Curry, and it's 98-93 Golden State.
Tim Roy on Warriors Radio. Jonathan Kuminga scoring a career-high 33 in this 99-93 victory. Before the loss, Rockets head coach Ime Udoka was fined $50,000, $15K for Alperen Şengün for their treatment of the officials in Tuesday's game in Sacramento. Tari Eason is down $35,000 for an incident with a fan during that game. Back on the floor, the Bulls outscored the Spurs 139-124. The Pelicans snapped a 9-game skid 126-124 over the Suns, and the Thunder hammered the Raptors 129-92. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 30 points, 5 assists. Men's number 8 Purdue took an 81-70 thumping at unranked Penn State. Those Nittany Lions led by as many as 27. Hannah Hidalgo had 30 as 10th-ranked Notre Dame fought off 4th-ranked Texas 80-70 in overtime. And our Connor needs a new head coach. The struggling Blackhawks firing Luke Richardson yesterday after 2+ seasons. AHL coach Anders Sorensen is the interim replacement. Guys, back to you.
Hockey is just ruthless.
Yeah.
They will cut coaches and replace them with people we've heard of
Yeah.
or not.
Our guy, Jim Montgomery in Boston, had the best regular season of all time and is fired a year and a half later.
Well, what happened in the playoffs?
Yeah, I know. Well, he got rehired 3 days after he got fired, right?
Yeah, a team fired a guy after 22 games to hire Jim Montgomery.
Yeah, no, I know, because he's awesome.
It's amazing to me. Hockey is it's blood sport when it comes to coaches and firing them, which we'll get to Belichick, by the way, because Bogusch just told us that news that he interviewed at UNC.
Yeah, that's awesome. By the way, is the leading candidates are John Tortorella and Mike Keenan, right? Because they have every job. There's only 4 coaches who rotate around.
They're all the same guy. Bogusch, thank you. 855-212-4227. Okay, well, we'll get into Belichick. This game was awesome last night. You're welcome to weigh in our question. Is Dan Campbell a weapon or a liability? But yeah, who thought Belichick was going to go to college to coach? We got the details for you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Friday vibes around here. Big game last night. Detroit Lions winning on a walk-off field goal over their rival, the Green Bay Packers. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, and Dan Campbell. We're asking you today, is he a weapon or a liability for the gutsy, risky, however you want to describe them, fourth down calls that ultimately did decide the game and going for it on a 4th and inches when they could have just calmly kicked a 38-yard field goal, but it would have left time for Jordan Love and the Packers. Okay. I mentioned before that there's more to Andrew Perloff than meets the eye, right? You have different sides of you. You're a multifaceted, multi-layered person.
Feels like there's some sort of dig coming in here.
There's no dig coming.
More than meets the eye. Like, I'm not even sure what you mean by meets the eye. It just feels like a slightly negative sort of vibe going on here. But please go ahead.
Don't mean it that way at all. It was just a story that was relayed yesterday on our sister station, WFAN. You may have heard of it, where morning host Greg Giannotti is describing to his co-host, former league MVP Boomer Esiason, about an encounter that he had early in the morning where he was almost hit by a car. So here's Gio telling Boomer how he was almost hit in the morning.
As I was walking across the street today, there was a car that was like flying by, and I had to like stop because it came around the corner and it was flying. And I was like, I just stopped crossing the street because it was nobody crossing the street when I started crossing the street. It's far, boom. Like I stopped, and then the person in the car, I couldn't really see who it was, but they were like staring at me, like staring.
Okay, staring. And Gio admits he got really intimidated. Early in the streets of New York City, someone staring you down from a car. This could be an intimidating thing. Then he realizes who it was.
And this guy comes flying around. It's getting stared at. And I'm like walking in. I'm like, man, that kind of shook me up a little bit, the way that guy was staring at me. Just now in the hallway, I'm walking to my office. Who comes up to me and says, I almost hit you with my car today? Andrew Perloff, the least intimidating man on earth. Okay. I was like, that was you? I was like, you had me all freaked out that you were going to come around the corner and try to run me over again.
More from Boomer and Gio again on WFAN talking about how Perloff almost hit Greg Giannotti with his car yesterday morning and how unbelievable it was that Perloff was the Mad Max.
Wow. Andrew Perloff of Maggie and Perloff. McLovin from the Dan Patrick Show. The skinniest, least intimidating man in the history of the human race was the one that I was spooked about. How stupid is that?
But even he goes to show you that, put a nice guy like him behind the wheel of a car in New York City and anything's bound to happen.
Anything's bound to happen. I got another one.
There you go.
Yeah, I knew there was some kind of dig coming in there.
But this is what I'm saying. There's more. They think that you're not intimidating, but clearly you are. You showed them there's a different side of you.
Gotcha.
Perloff is the one who knocks.
Exactly. How do you remember the story? Did you almost hit him?
No.
How close did you come?
No. He jutted out and he walked in the street. Then he kind of went back because I was coming around, but he didn't need to. I saw him. I would have stopped. I was staring because I didn't really recognize him. So he confused a stare down with, oh, is that
Do I
Gio?
know that guy?
Yeah. No, it's, I was trying to get that light. That light at the corner? So I had to go drive kind of fast. Because every morning I go around for parking.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Around here, it's like a killer be killed for the parking spots, not for anything else. All right, so you're offended by this.
No.
Okay.
I'm glad I didn't hit him, by the way. That would have been, he wouldn't have been able to tell the story. Yeah.
Telling it from a hospital bed.
Gio's also been sick, too, so I think he might have thought this was a fever dream as the whole thing went down.
Well, here's the big question. Perloff and I talk about this all the time because he lives in New York City and I live deep in the suburbs of New Jersey. And you think it's scarier where I live as opposed to where you live. Like, you tell me all the time, my house backs up to a forest. And you think this is the freakiest thing, where I think a lot of people listening to us would probably say New York City is the scarier seed.
Well,
but you find New York
but you
City
live in the
not
country,
scary
like,
at all.
When you hear a knock in the middle of the night, like, what do you think it means?
Well, nobody's coming to knock in the middle of the night. Nobody's there.
What if it's like wind or something? Don't you get freaked out? EJ, you're a city guy. You know what I mean.
I've done both. I've done city and I've done the suburb, almost rural thing in Lehigh Valley. Lehigh Valley, that was scary.
Can you put up on the poll what's scarier, a city or the countryside? I don't know how you put that.
But not suburbs. Suburbs are right in between. But right, like where you are, Maggie, that looks kind of isolated.
Yeah, I'm out there.
No one's gonna hear you scream, right?
No, they will not.
Yeah.
But what bugs me out is the no lights.
Yeah, it's very dark out there.
When you go to bed, it is pitch black. Like if something happens, if someone comes in, if you don't hear it, you're toast. You're not gonna be able to see anything going out there.
My tax dollars at work.
Can I ask you a question,
no
Maggie?
lights on our street.
Maggie,
dark.
When you're at a red light in the morning in your neighborhood, do you sometimes run it?
So we talked about this. Remember when we first started the show, and I was actually sitting there like a doofus at the red light at 3:30. When do I leave? 4:15 in the morning. No, I'm running those red lights now. I don't even stop.
You go right through the red light.
Right through, because it's so dark that if a car is coming, which happens like once a month, I will be able to see it.
What if a cop? Not even about the car, but like,
okay.
What is there a cop?
I'll amend that. There is some weird pattern with the police of near where I live, where for certain stretches of time they'll be camped out at one spot, but then they'll sort of disappear and won't be there for a couple months, and then they'll come back, and then they won't. So yeah, when the cops are there, then I take it a little easy. Obviously. They've got nothing to do. It's 4:00 in the morning. I'm definitely getting pulled over, and it would really hamper me getting to work on time.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Have you guys ever experienced a dummy cop? Like
yes, it's parked on the side with no one in it.
Yeah, and like they put a little dummy in there.
Yes.
Oh, I've never actually seen the dummy. I've just seen the car with no one in it.
Yeah, right where I used to live, they used to put a dummy right on the corner, right there.
Who's that fooling?
I guess
no
it fools
disrespect to
enough
law
people.
enforcement, by the way. We respect and appreciate everything you do, but no one's falling for the dummy.
I also feel like it doesn't really help if someone still runs it, then you can't stop them. There's a dummy there.
Who do you think's a more illegal driver, like breaks more laws, me or you, Maggie? Like I can't tell because you're suburban. Like out there, you kind of don't need to break the laws. In the city, everybody breaks the laws.
Depends. If I've got my 5-year-old in the back seat, I'm driving Miss Daisy. Yeah, I'm very, very conservative. But
when you drive in the city in the morning, are you more aggressive?
Flying. Just flying. No, but I stop at the red lights in the city, obviously.
Well, yeah,
I have
one.
no idea who could be coming around the corner. Could be Greg Giannotti.
Yeah.
That's how this whole thing started in the first place, when you almost hit the WFN morning show host with your car.
Just change the name of the show from Maggie and Perloff to Penelope Pit Stop and Dick Dastardly.
Sure.
Wacky races. Old listeners will get that.
Yeah. By the way, Nico was very confused by that. Even I was a little like, oh, yeah. Is that Rocky and Bullwinkle?
No, but it's in the same family.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Hatton to snap it. Fox the holder. Jake Bates, rookie kicker. The approach, sweeps the leg, kick on the way. He's got it! The Lions win! It is a new franchise record. 11 straight victories for the Detroit Lions.
Ian Eagle on Westwood One. Who else? Yes, Lions off to their best start in franchise history at 12-1 after their win over the Packers last night, 4-0 in the division. They just need to finish 3-1 or better, and they can get the number 1 seed. They've got the inside track, Perloff, and last night felt like the game came down to one very critical play. There were others, but one's getting a lot of attention, which is Dan Campbell with already a makeable field goal, a 38-yarder in front of him, decides to go for it on a 4th and inches to bleed more clock and set up the walk-off kick that you just heard.
Yeah, and it's enjoyable for me to sit back and watch America play the results. Because if Jared Goff had tripped and not been able to hand the ball off and they got stuff right there, Dan Campbell would be a laughing stock today.
Okay, but here's the thing. If the Lions cared about that at all, or if they felt intimidated by the fact that, you can get really embarrassed on these 4th down plays when they don't work, they would have completely changed their philosophy this year after what happened in the NFC Championship game against the 49ers. And earlier in the game, when they didn't convert on one of their 4th downs and it led directly to a Green Bay score, they would have played conservatively. They don't care. They're going to keep going for it. I think that's part of the beauty of this, and I think that's what makes this such a weapon, is because it doesn't matter what happened the drive before, the play before. They are going for it when it's 4th and a yard.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you take out the 4th down stuff and you just line up the Detroit Lions as they are against any other team in the NFC, who's the best team?
Well, I know what you're trying to say there, that the Lions may have the best team on paper, but there were 5 lead changes in the second half of this game. The Lions defense is crumbling right now.
2 of them, one was a terrible Jared Goff interception, not on the Lions defense at all. One was a bad decision to go for it on 4th and 1 that blew up. Yeah. So that's where 14 of the points came from for Green Bay. Short fields, 30-yard fields. So I'm not sure that was a lie. I just think and also I'm assuming their defense gets a little healthier. Can I? I mean, Alan McNeil, who's such a key part of that with a head injury, he'll get back. Brian Branch, I guess, was just cramps, although he's been battling a knee injury. Here's the thing. If their defense is going to have guys like Quan Alexander coming off the practice squad, they're not going to win anyway. They all have to come back. That's what my 3 big concerns are: the 4th down things, the Jared Goff interceptions, and then defense being hurt. They look a little vulnerable. I think if it was a fully healthy Detroit Lions team, they're so good. I mean, they have so many weapons on offense. I mean, they could beat you in a million different ways.
Which is why you go for it in these instances. This is why I totally understand what Dan Campbell's thinking, because what are the strengths of his team right now? It's not the defense. Right now, the strength is the offensive line, even though they were missing their left tackle last night, and the run game.
But 4th and 1,
and the explosive plays. Like, the offense is the thing for Detroit.
But on 4th and 1, they're going to run it, right? So all those weapons don't really matter.
I don't know. Earlier in the game, they did pass on a 4th down. It was Tim Patrick, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that wasn't 4th and 1, was it?
I'd have to go back.
That's the other thing. He'll go on 4th and 3, which I did. He'll go any 4th down.
But that's the thing. Like, it might not be as unstoppable as your Eagles tush push and so automatic, but it's pretty dang good considering how many different weapons they have. But we're asking you today, is Dan Campbell a weapon or a liability? Because I think you fall into the category of liability.
Yeah, I think that is one of the I'm looking for any way that the Eagles can compete with this Lions team, and I feel like a failed 4th down conversion is one of them. Because, again, last year's playoff, they had an easy pass to Josh Reynolds who was 4th down, and he panicked because there's so much pressure on that play. Just go out there. You're an amazing offensive line. Just go out there and kick the team's butt straight up. You don't need any tricks.
But here's the thing about that, and we're talking about the Lions' last-second win last night over the Green Bay Packers, and they went for it on a controversial 4th down to kill more clock. Here's the thing about it. It's like muscle memory. When you're going for this amount of 4th downs in these big games, and last night was a huge game for both teams, don't you become more calm in these instances when it does set up in the playoffs? Like last year, we had not seen the Lions, literally in the history of their franchise, had never gone as deep into the playoffs as they did last season. Right. They were breaking records all over the place. Now they've got a little muscle memory from last year, and the fact that they do this so consistently, I think makes them better in these big moments as the games get even more important.
Yeah, but look at their two last 4th down conversions. One, they run this stretch play to Jahmyr Gibbs, which made no sense. Tackle for a loss, hand it over. The second one, they're so calm and cool. Jared Goff falls down the second he gets to the thing. Nothing looked calm and cool, and that was one of the luckiest conversions ever because it looked like the whole play blew up. Yeah, he literally tripped.
Okay, let's hear from Jared Goff because he was asked about that tripping on the 4th down handoff. It looked like an offensive lineman stepped on his foot.
Yeah, just got tripped up there a little bit, and bad feeling when you're a quarterback. Not the first time that's happened in my career. You try to stretch out and give it to him. I was even probably going to flip it to him if I couldn't hand it to him, but made it happen, made it work, and David did the rest.
Yeah, probably good at that point. I know quarterbacks don't have to be 6'5", but probably better when your quarterback is, because even though he tripped, he was going down. He's a bigger dude, Jared Goff, so he was still able to get the ball to his running back.
Yeah, it's still not the smoothest 4th down conversion I've ever seen in my life.
It was not.
If you're a Lion fan, you probably had a mini heart attack watching that.
Yes, definitely some expletives. It would be impossible not to. And if you're the Packers, you might have thought, oh gosh, this opened up the door, but it did not, and here we go. The Lions are sitting at 12-1. Again, Dan Campbell, liability or is he a weapon? A caller earlier put it how? Madman or a genius? What do you think? Let's go to Andy. He's our pal in Michigan. What's up, Andy?
Hey, guys. Great show. I've been listening the past couple of days. I got a couple things for you. First of all, that game last night, oh my gosh, I about had several heart attacks in that game. The last play, the play, that you're talking about, the 4th down conversion, I'm like, oh, they're just trying to draw them outside, those silly guys. They're not going to snap it. And they snapped it about, had a freaking heart attack. And then Goff fell into it, had a heart attack, and they got it. But you know what? I breathed a sigh of relief. I was like, finally, we're not going to show up on a stupid Packers highlight reel of Jordan Love going and doing this magnificent drive, and Brett Favre. You have no idea how much this has haunted the Lions in the past. And maybe being Giants fans, maybe you got that. But I am just glad that I remember thinking to myself in past years, why didn't you just go for it and then the game would be over? So yeah, you live by the sword and die by the sword. I probably won't be saying the same thing in the NFC Championship game, but
at least you admit it.
Andy, are you afraid the Packers are coming back to Detroit in the postseason?
Yes.
Okay, Andy, you said you also have something else for us from earlier this week on the show.
Yes, so I was almost screaming at my radio thinking, this guy has a Netflix documentary, Your Famous Connor Stallions.
Oh, man.
Thank you for pointing that out. Gosh, we just totally whiffed on that. Earlier this week, we got into a conversation about, Andy, thanks so much, about famous Connors.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. We kind of forgot about Connor Stallions as a person. We don't even know really what that guy's up to now.
No, we do. He's the defensive coordinator, some high school in Michigan.
I think he got promoted to head coach too, right?
Look at him. And also, I think he's probably going to be working for the Chargers in about 30 seconds.
That's the thing about him. He goes incognito. That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know where he really is. He might have been in that game last night for Detroit.
Maybe he was that idiot fan who was on the field
talking
smack to Matt LaFleur.
Very possible.
Why don't we get to that part of the story from last night? So besides the game, which was super entertaining, especially in the second half, pre-game, you know how sometimes they'll bring out like a gigantic American flag that covers the entire length of the field.
Yeah.
And obviously you need a bunch of fans to hold on to it while they do the national anthem. Well, it turns out one fan, a little overzealous, starts talking smack to Packers head coach Matt LaFleur and doing the throat slash, kind of taunting LaFleur. And LaFleur got beyond ticked off, going at the fan. They had to put the fan back to this like holding area, I don't know, behind like a rope kind of thing. Nico, cut 19, please. Matt LaFleur talking about the interaction with that fan.
He was talking junk to our players, giving them the throat slash sign. And you're trying to de-escalate it, and then he gets in my face. So I thought it was pretty unsportsmanlike. Like, I've never seen that. I've been on many fields, and usually they police that much better. I thought it was an arrogant fan that, wanted to get in part of the action, and just, I would like to see security or something step in there and get him out of there.
Matt LaFleur is 100% correct. It's totally out of line for a fan to be doing that. You're on the field to do something nice for the national anthem. I don't know how you get selected for this, but it's a privilege to be able to do this. It's not your right to be out there. And I feel like I'm doing that mom thing where I'm like wagging my finger at this guy. But you got to be more respectful than that.
Yeah, we've been in that situation a lot, not holding the flag, but in the field before the game, there is a large amount of respect paid to the fact that the players are preparing to play. Like, as a media member too, like, I know you've been on field many times. You just like let them do their job, because they're very focused on what they're doing at the moment. Like, what if like a Packer player is all fired up and takes a swing at that guy? It was a terrible idea. You have to act respectful in that situation, especially of the opponent. I think that guy was an idiot, and I'm a Philly fan.
I know the
we do
threshold
crazy.
for you is high for fan base.
I think when you're in the stands and there's some distance, you can do whatever you want. But to be on the field in a pregame ceremony, especially a respectful one, that I totally agree. That was ridiculous.
I mean, he got definitely in Matt LaFleur's face. The guy's the head coach of the Packers. EJ, you loved this from the fan.
I won't say loved. I just what I told you guys before the show is this didn't offend me. Like this, he shouldn't be doing this during the national anthem. No question about that. Or before that, especially when you're holding the flag. Like, I'm not gonna get into the national anthem stuff, but like, you're there to hold the flag. This is not the time to do it. But there are other instances where fans are on the field pregame for whatever reason. Sometimes they have a field pass or whatever.
Taking pictures.
Yeah, like this game. We all talked about how important this game was, how great this rivalry was, how this was prime time. This was the D game, and these two sides do not like each other. I don't have an issue with a fan talking crap to the Packers. I just don't. Like, I'm trying to figure. I hear what you guys are saying. I get it. I just feel like if you're that kind of person where you really hate the Packers, don't say anything offensive. Don't do anything, whatever. He probably shouldn't have done the throat slashing thing. But if you're saying, "Oh, you guys suck. We're about to kick you guys behind," I'm like, yeah. And then
but he got in his face. He got too close to him.
He was by the flag. He wasn't he didn't run up to Matt LaFleur.
No, but he's like walking off the field, and that's where he took his opportunity to talk smack to the coach. I thought he got way too close to him. Way too close.
I actually thought LaFleur
overreacted.
Yeah, and I thought he kept coming to the guy. And I'm like, no, that's where you get security and say, hey, someone needs to stop this. Like, instead of he said he was trying to de-escalate it. I didn't see much de-escalation. He's immediately being like, hey, shut up, dude. And then he's actually approaching the guy.
No, he went back for more, Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, and he went back
because the guy kept talking. Like, okay, I can see it if you're the Packers head coach. You got to be a little more focused, just like turn the other cheek and walk away. But at the same time, I think LaFleur's right. The security's got to play a bigger role there, number one. I mean, they might not have known it was going on. And two, even this one didn't seem like it was a joking matter. Like, hey, we're going to kick your butt today. Something like that. It was...
The throat slash is a bit much.
It's like, that's a little aggressive.
I hope the Eagles go into Detroit for a playoff game and this fan tries it on Nick Sirianni because the content of that would be just wonderful. I don't know who. I mean, by the way, Nick Sirianni could be that fan. So like the two of them going head to head.
No, but Nick Sirianni does that to the Eagles fans.
Yeah, I know. He does that to the fans.
His own fans.
I want to get those guys together and see how they interact.
Big Dom will sit on you.
Hysterical.
I think the problem for me is like those idiots at Yankee Stadium lowered the bar so low. To me, I keep comparing it to that. I'm like, this is not that. This is not close to that.
So the guys at Yankee Stadium who literally ripped the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove. What was that, game one?
That was game three of the World Series.
Yeah, obviously, the World Series started in L.A. Game 3.
Yeah, like that guy could injure a wrist. He's actually touching a player. That to me is like 100 times worse than this.
Yeah, but EJ, that's like one of the worst things that's ever happened besides like a Monica Seles situation.
I mean, you're right. I know.
So nothing's going to, very few things are going to go to that bar.
To EJ's credit, he has pointed out fan behavior seems to be getting unruly, maybe since the pandemic. Before the Malice of the Palace in 2004, like I saw it, the NBA fans and the NBA players were starting to interact a lot. Then the NBA had to put in a new set of rules. Are we headed? My question is, are we headed for another Malice of the Palace? Is there going to be a brawl?
I think so.
Yeah, it does feel like things.
And a football version of that?
Well, I don't know which
or
sport.
Basketball again.
Well, I feel like the baseball one, like if that could have gone south, like at some point a player's just going to rip that guy down from the stands and beat the hell out of him.
Remember, it was who was the guy, Anthony Rendon, who like basically tried to slap a Oakland A's fan.
Yeah,
opening day. Like
it's different with football because the players are wearing helmets and pads and stuff like that.
And if a football player hits you, he could kill you. I mean, that guy is unbelievably strong.
Yeah, but
like if you go up to Dan Campbell slapped me, my head would fall off.
You're right, but also, I mean, all professional athletes are very strong. That's why they're different than us.
I wouldn't want to get hit by like LeBron.
Oh my gosh, you guys don't think Mookie Betts is strong? You're like, you gotta expand your mind a little bit.
I think Mookie Betts is not strong like DeMarvion Overshawn is strong.
Well,
football
Mookie Betts' job isn't to hit people.
A 320-pound man cannot hit a civilian. Like that's
I agree.
Very scary. And the players know that. The guy who was going up to the players is like, this guy's like, Kenny Clark's not going to hit me because he doesn't want to kill a person.
It's like a Mike Tyson, remember? Like a boxer, his hands were classified as lethal weapons.
Yeah. Well, last night's game, too, was so violent, by the way. As for an offensive game, there were gigantic hits all night long. Can we celebrate last night's game, too? We had controversy. We had fourth downs. We had offense. We had hits.
We had lead changes. A lot on the line.
Yeah, it was great.
It was a great one. 855-212-4227. Okay, Dan Campbell. Weapon or liability in how aggressive he is, some would say reckless, in all of his fourth down decisions. We will also get into the stunning news of the day yesterday involving one future Hall of Fame coach and an unlikely pit stop. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
Born in the summer of '94, shakeup came to play. From Philly to the airwaves, making noise every day. Temple's pride on whip, sports director in the booth, and turned a '94 whip. Larry sharpened up his truth from the Jersey air on Fox Sports 90/20 to Eagles post games, making Mondays funny. Late nights on CBS, the Mad Dog in the mix. Now he's prime time 3 to 6. From the Jersey air on Fox Sports 90/30 to Eagles post games, making Mondays funny. Late nights on CBS and Mad Dog in the mix. Now he's prime time 3 to 6. Oh, Zach Jobs on the air, turn the dial up. Last one stop legend in the making Daddy Bob proud. CBS Sports Radio every afternoon. Zach's got the tapes that'll make you swoon. They say 2 a.m.'s for sleepers, but Zach changed the rule. National spotlight, just a kid out of school. Then he jumps to Sirius, NFL, and Mad Dog shows. CBS calling back, primetime flows.
One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Sorry, Bogusch just made me laugh. We're doing a little conspiracy theory talk in the break.
You want to tell the class about it?
Well, it's become a big national story. An insurance executive was shot in New York City.
Yep.
And it's a fascinating, it's a tragic case for sure. And I feel terrible for everyone involved. But this, we know so much details about it. It feels like a movie, right?
Well, and the guy's still on the loose.
And
we thought he would definitely be caught by now because it seems like he's left this trail of evidence. We'll get back to the sports in just a moment, but he has left this trail of evidence. He got a couple things at Starbucks, drank out of them, put them in a garbage can, so now they think they could have his saliva. He left a burner phone in an alley.
Yeah.
He had a couple power bars, I guess, that he bought, or I don't know, but
bullets with words on them that obviously I'm sure they can get something out of those too.
Exactly, and they think they're close. The words that were engraved on bullets, which by the way, I never knew you could engrave a bullet, and I don't know why you'd want to do that. But anyway, some of the words on them match up to a book that was written by a college professor that kind of skewers the healthcare industry. So they're making some connections here, but still, he has not been found.
Right. They showed a picture of him without the mask on. Like, somebody's got to know who this is, right? It's clear enough. So
it's his full face.
Yeah, there's no way he gets through the weekend without being caught. Or at least they'll know the identity of him. The fact that they knew where he was staying, like, the ring is closing in on him.
So this is what made you laugh, is because Andrew Bogusch walked in and we're chatting. This is all anyone's talking about in New York, obviously. And yeah, it's become a huge story nationally. But you said, I believe your quote was, you think he's Jason Bourne.
I think he's
gone.
He's on his third identity. He's in a completely different country. He's never going to be found.
He's just like in Nicaragua today.
This is, again, it's like Perloff, when he started it, it feels bad talking about this in this way because of what the actual
real
story
tragedy,
is. I mean,
sure.
I even sat at dinner last night with my family. We went out last night for Jake's birthday, for sitting there for an hour and a half, and all I wanted to do was talk about this guy just into the ether. And
It is tragic, but it's also a whodunit now.
Right.
It's a mystery.
Because they have him into Central Park, and then he's just gone. And and now we're on day 3 of this. And you're the first one to say there's cameras everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
But to me, he goes into Central Park and maybe he already had something stashed there, and he's got a complete change of clothes. So we're looking for a different person. And now 72 hours later, he could be anywhere in the world.
Have you guys ever...
And he's handsome.
Have you guys ever thought about how I would get away with murder, or just like what you would do if you had to flee?
I thought you meant for a second how we would all support you.
Yeah.
Have we ever thought about Perloff getting away
Like,
with it?
what would you do?
I thought about killing you and how I'd get away with that.
Yeah. I got all sorts of plans to get out of town. Like, you obviously...
What? All sorts of plans?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have never, like, considered, like, well, what if I have to evade the law? Like, where do you go?
No, I start with don't break the law, and therefore I don't need to evade them.
What if you're
like a fake
what if you're
passport or
falsely accused though, or something, or like
I
don't
someone's
want to
framed you or whatever?
Like The Fugitive?
No.
The movie that Nico is
in my
definitely not
fantasy,
seeing.
I murdered somebody.
Oh.
Yeah.
Trying to give you it out there. Sorry.
Let's unpack this.
EJ really gave you a way out there.
Like,
and then you
executive
doubled
producer
down.
trying to keep the show on the right trail.
You never thought, like, how could I get away with it? Like, you ever seen that movie with Ryan Gosling and Michael Pitt try and plan the perfect murder?
Yeah.
Just as a intellectual exercise? That's more of what I'm not actually going to kill anyone. I had a funny news day, too. My wife calls me
With
at
his car.
3 o'clock. She goes, did you see the tsunami warning? I'm like, what? So my in-laws live on the West Coast, and there was a 7.0 earthquake right off the coast of California. So she said there's a 11-minute window where they think a tsunami could
no.
hit. So I got obsessed with it. Bogusch, you were into that too?
Well, I was
Wait,
trying
is
to,
that over now? The
Yeah,
threat's
I
over?
passed.
Thank goodness.
I was trying to take a nap, and I see it on my phone, like people were, it was like a legitimate warning. Like they were really telling people to move inland and to higher ground. Like they were really worried about it.
That's so
And then
scary.
like 12 minutes later, like, no, we're good.
Well,
Do you remember when the fake thing went off in Hawaii and it was
Yeah.
just a test?
That was crazy.
And it was Magic Johnson was like there tweeting about it?
Yeah, it was like, nuclear missile imminent.
Yes. And it turns
Oh,
out it's like,
geez.
sorry guys, it was just a test of the our emergency defense system. It's like you almost took out Magic Johnson.
That was insane. Because I feel like I was in college when that happened. Because I think I think as a journalism student, we were like, okay, this is breaking. Like we need to like find if you know anybody in Hawaii or whatever. Like it was
Mobilize.
crazy. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think this is a poll question. I don't even know if I want the results of this. Have you thought of how to get away with murder?
I always think of how do I get out of like a building or room where like someone comes in and it starts like attacking people.
Yeah,
I've thought of that
I
too.
think all the time.
I've thought of that. Where are the exits? Stuff like that. Is that being paranoid? Is that being a conscientious citizen?
I think you now have to. Unfortunately, the reality of the world.
Yeah.
It's a little bad though when you're like 10 floors up and I think, can I jump out of this window?
Yeah.
Probably
You
not
can't.
here.
No, don't do that. Let's transition away from that. Meanwhile, long story short, they haven't found the guy. And we still don't actually have the motivation yet, although we think that it may be someone who is disgruntled about the healthcare system.
I have a question
What
too.
else happened yesterday? There was a tsunami warning. The guy's on the loose.
It's crazy stuff happening yesterday. My other thing on this
Dan
too is
Campbell's going for it on 4th and inches.
I really hope I'm not giving I guess an idea to people, but like, why wouldn't you also like? Because I'm not ruling out this guy. Like, could he been wearing prosthetics? Like, why? Like, prosthetics are pretty like
Mission Impossible?
Yeah, I was like, not even Mission Impossible, but just like, well, kind of, yeah, exactly. Like, but like, you know, people can get like makeup and get like stuff to put on their face to look like a different person.
Like Jake Gyllenhaal? That's what he looks like to me in the picture.
Yeah, it looks like Jake Gyllenhaal.
So you think he's wearing the prosthetics now?
I don't
or
know if
then?
I don't know if he. Well, there's these videos, but we have like his face.
His face from when he checked into a hotel.
Right. And my thing is, I was like, could he have been wearing them afterwards or then? Like, I would think that that's not that hard to do. Because like these idiots do
pretty
this.
Convincing,
these idiots do it, and then like we see their face everywhere. Like Pearl says, there's cameras literally everywhere. It's like, why would you?
Yeah, but think about it. If someone checked into a hotel and they were obviously wearing a prosthetic nose or chin or something.
I mean, you say that, but I mean, I watched The Penguin, and you could not have convinced me that was Colin Farrell.
But EJ, the Penguin with Colin Farrell, whatever his name is.
He was in a chair probably for 8 hours having that done.
Hey, these are like Oscar-winning makeup artists.
I don't think it's that hard.
I've seen The Penguin.
You don't think it's that hard?
I don't think
It's
not
an
that hard
art
for the Batman. I mean, like I think you can do. You don't have to be Oscar level. It doesn't have to be Penguin level good.
Yeah.
Even if it's 65% Penguin level, I think you accomplish your goal. You just don't want to look like yourself.
How about
That's
a
all you
hat
need
and
to do.
glasses? Where's Connor Stallions with the fake beard and the Central Michigan hoodie?
EJ, I was with you. I was going to say maybe he, with the prosthetics are on the back end of all of this, and that's why he got out of Central Park unnoticed because he changed his look that way. But then you mentioned the Penguin, and I am no longer with you on this line of thought.
You know who I thought, my first thought, not the smiling picture, but there's a sort of a half face of him. I was like, ooh, that looks a little bit like Doug Gottlieb. Did anybody
Doug is busy though these days.
Well, I had to check his schedule. Yeah.
Where's Ball State playing?
That guy looks
University
whatever.
Wisconsin Green Bay.
He looks too much like a lot of people because like shout out to Spike Essing, our former boss, like his co-host, a lot of the Rights to Ricky fans kept thinking it looked like Mike.
Does kind of look like
Oh
Mike.
my God, it looks like Mike
does
too.
look like Mike.
Yeah, it's like he oddly looks like
a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Which helps to be Jason Bourne. You fit in.
This is why maybe he's wearing a prosthetic.
Telling you, you're not finding this guy. He's gone.
Man, that'd be something. Anyway, we'll get to Belichick in a second, but Bogusch has got headlines for us.
And they're sponsored by GoodRx. For simple, smart savings on your prescriptions, go to goodrx.com or download the free GoodRx app. Down 17-7 at the half in Detroit last night, the Packers almost stole Thursday Night Football from the Lions.
Wicks off the line to the right. Snap, handoff. Jacobs slicing left. He's in. Touchdown! Jacobs has done it again, his third of the night. Ripping through to give Green Bay the lead.
That's Ian Eagle on Westwood 1, but that was the Packers' last lead of the night. They did get even at 31 on a late field goal in the fourth, but let the Lions keep the ball for 11 plays in the final 3:38, leading to Jake Bates' game-ending 35-yard field goal. So Matt LaFleur's team loses 34-31.
It's only a handful of plays that separate these types of games. And like I told our team, I mean, we're going to have to earn the right to potentially come back here. And it's not going to be easy, and we got to put in the work. And but I'm confident in the resiliency of our group.
The Packers now 9-4, good for the 6th seed in the NFC at the moment. The Lions, meanwhile, 12-1 for the first time ever. Their 11-game win streak is a franchise record, and they clinched a playoff spot last night. They went 4 for 5 on fourth down in this one, including a 4th-and-1 conversion in the final minute, already in field goal range that allowed them to take all the time off the clock. The Nets and Suns will reportedly play 2 preseason games in Macau next October. That would be the NBA's return to China after Daryl Morey created an international incident with those pro-Taiwan tweets back in 2019. On the court last night, thank goodness Manny's off today.
Bad pass stolen by Hart. Ahead to Towns. Powers to the paint and one.
It's one less Knick fan to deal with. The
Still
call
got me here.
from MSG. Karl Anthony Towns, 27, 25 from OG Anunoby, 24 from Jalen Brunson in a 125-101 romp over the Hornets.
Trae Young, your ass is next.
Cavaliers are 13-1 at home after downing the Nuggets 126-114. Nikola Jokic had 27 points, 20 rebounds, 11 assists for his 139th career triple-double. That breaks his tie with Magic for third all-time. And the Grizzlies top the Kings 115-110, extending their home win streak to 7. UCLA football is reportedly dropping OC Eric Bieniemy after one season. Women's college hoops, third-ranked South Carolina held off number 8 Duke 81-70. That is 62 straight home wins now for the Gamecocks. Connor McDavid, 4 assists in the Oilers' 6-3 win over the Blue Jackets. And the Panthers scored 3 times in the final 5-17 to win in Philly 7-5. Guys, back to you.
You know, I also have a headline that I saw, a news story that I want to share with everyone. Not the fugitive who's on the loose in New York, but this is actually really sad, but it was a eye-catching headline that unfortunately a very prominent doctor passed away. His name was Dr. Ronald Weiss. There's nothing nefarious about it. He passed away peacefully after a very long and successful career. Do you know what that was? What type of doctor he was? Did anyone see this?
No.
Ronald Weiss is known as the Wayne Gretzky of vasectomies.
Okay.
60,000 men. 60,000 in Canada. Wow, the room just got real silent. Hey, guys. Everyone just stared off into space.
Yeah.
Dr. Ronald Weiss lived an extraordinarily active life that included a career that established him as the Wayne Gretzky of vasectomies, as well as numerous sports and hobbies, not the least of which was a passion for music. This guy was a pioneer. Apparently, he was only one of 2 doctors in Canada who did this special type of procedure.
Did it make you good at hockey? I'm confused by the Wayne Gretzky reference.
The output. The prolific output.
But he was
like
preventing
the scoring
you
total. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was kind of preventing you from scoring, not scoring like Gretzky.
You can still score.
You should be the grand Fuhrer of vasectomies.
I'm sorry, you can still shoot. You just can't score.
He's the Martin Brodeur of vasectomies. He's stopping babies.
Listen, I'm not the one who came up with it. You'll have to take it up with the good people in Canada. But yeah, he was the Wayne Gretzky. Imagine being known as that.
Would you ever
be cool at parties?
Would you ever tell somebody that you're the Wayne Gretzky of vasectomies?
It sounds like this guy was too cool to call himself that. It's just he was so awesome at what he did. He was called the Wayne Gretzky of vasectomies.
What I don't really understand is that hard to do a vasectomy? Like, I could see Neil Elitrosh being the Wayne Gretzky of knee surgery, but anybody can do a vasectomy. Like,
Okay.
do they go wrong?
Here you go. This is why he earned the Gretzky nickname due to his reputation as one of the
He did it with a hockey stick.
an ice skate. Sorry, guys. He used a no needle, no scalpel technique and worked hard to make men less fearful of the dreaded snip. I'm reading this in the Ottawa Citizen. So there you go.
I'll need to know how he gained access without a scalpel.
He has a new technique. He was one of the first 2 Canadians trained in this technique, and then he refined it, improved it, and becoming well-known through word of mouth, said his former partner, Dr. Jean-Philippe Bercier, who took over the clinic that he ran in Canada.
All
Guys,
right.
pioneer. Wayne Gretzky.
R.I.P.
A little worried that Perloff just thinks anybody can do a vasectomy. That's a little scary.
Yeah.
Imagine just anybody trying.
Again, this is the guy that gets medical treatment in with some weird scabies-infested guy in a hot tub.
Yeah, that's true. But when you are getting a vasectomy, it's not like you need like the top heart surgeon in America to do it.
You need the top vasectomy guy. You need the Wayne Gretzky.
Really? I've never heard of anybody be like, you guys know like who's the Wayne Gretzky of vasectomies? I need to get a vasectomy.
I would find out when it was time to get one.
I think you probably want to go to the top of the line there, don't you?
Yeah.
No. No, that's not
This
like
is back alley?
No, like if you want to get a good ACL thing, like you go to James Andrews, you go to anybody for vasectomy, as far as I know. But I could be.
I'd rather gamble with my ACL.
Who needs that knee?
Right.
Well, 60,000 people went to this Dr. Weiss.
I'm not going to the Ben Simmons of vasectomy.
Not sure what hand to use. Sorry, that's the Markel Fultz.
No, it's him too.
Wayne had a brother. So you don't want to go to the Brent Gretzky of vasectomies.
Oh, no. I don't want to go to the Brent Gretzky of anything.
No.
That guy just says, hey, they say I'm the Gretzky. I'm the Gretzky of vasectomies.
Wrong Gretzky. Damn it.
Doesn't say the first name.
He's got 17 kids. I picked the wrong Gretzky.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway, Dr.
R.I.P.
Weiss,
Dr. Weiss.
may he rest in peace. The Wayne Gretzky of vasectomies. So there you go. All right, Bill Belichick, the Wayne Gretzky of coaching. Anyway, we'll talk about Belichick. Popped up in a very surprising place. Did an interview to be a head coach at somewhere that, I don't know, no one had this on their bingo card. We'll get to it next.
I thought about killing you and how I'd get away with that. I thought about killing you and how I'd get away with that. I thought about killing you and how I'd get away with that.
Oh, and Bogusch sits at his desk, dreaming of ways to lay Perloff to rest. He's smiling wide, but behind those eyes, there's a plot for revenge he just can't disguise. Perloff, oh Perloff, you drive me insane with your milky white ankle and your constant complaints. One more bad take, and I swear it's the end. You'll regret ever calling me just a friend. Perloff, oh Perloff, you drive me insane with your milky white ankle and your constant complaints. One more bad take, and I swear it's the end. You'll regret ever calling me just a friend. He sharpened the pencil, inside with regret. Violence is messy, I'm not there yet. But then Perloff laughed at his little league crew, and Bogusch thought, oh, I know what to do. Perloff, oh Perloff, your time might be near. I'll strangle you softly with Taco Bell gear. You think you're so clever, but the truth is quite clear. I'm the MVP, and you're just my sphere. He pictures a world where Perloff is gone. No more weird theories or takes that feel wrong. But just as his scheme's coming fully in view, Perloff trips himself. Bogusch whispers, thank you. Perloff and Bogusch, he lets out a cheer. No need for murder, the path's now clear. Perloff's own clumsiness sealed his fate, and Bogusch can focus on being great. Perloff, oh Perloff, you're finally done. It's not really murder if it's just for fun. Now I'm the king of this sports radio show, and Perloff's milky ankle will haunt no more.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining.
I thought about killing you and how I'd get away with.
Corbuccio wipes the bottom of his sneakers. He's guarded by Lawson. Play in action. Corbuccio gets a screen from Ratliff. Corbuccio driving, finds Ratliff, free throw line, Jay, yes! Clock continues to run. Panthers have one final chance. Here's Kennedy. Kennedy with 5, step back, Jay, yes! Oh, Josiah Kennedy! Ice cold. Timeout, Stepanek.
Seconds remaining. ...15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie and Perloff, if you had given me 100 guesses on who Bill Belichick's first interview would be in this coaching cycle, Perloff,
You would have said the Jacksonville Jaguars.
that would have been one of my first guesses, even though they technically still have a coach right now, Doug Peterson.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
still
about
there.
him. Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you and be honest, North Carolina, the Tar Heels, probably would have not made my list.
Nope.
I could have guessed for 2 months and would not have come up with that name, but here we go. According to Inside Carolina, and it's been confirmed, sources saying that Bill Belichick did interview for UNC's head coaching vacancy. And according to Andrew Carter, he blew them away in the interview. Of course, it's Bill Belichick. But they are being told that Belichick's interest is high and genuine to be the coach of the Tar Heels, but it's extremely unlikely due to his age and lack of college experience. So let me get this straight. North Carolina football is saying no thank you to Bill Belichick, who's genuinely interested in taking the job because he has no college experience.
Well, was
Fire
that
everybody at Carolina.
was that that guy's opinion, or is that reporting? Because it sounds like that guy who wrote that had the opinion. Like, there's no way they're hiring a 72-year-old Bill Belichick.
No, I think this was, I will find the article for you.
Yeah.
But
I'm not sure that was well sourced necessarily, because, like, why are you interviewing him if there's no chance?
I mean, I don't think you ever turn down the opportunity to talk to someone like Bill Belichick. I don't. I think it would.
I actually think it's different, though, because you face the optics of having Bill Belichick in the building and not hiring him. That would make you look bad.
It is making them look bad, because to pass on Belichick, even if you are looking for someone younger, or you are, I guess, worried about the college experience, you will, as an athletic director, it's a 100% defensible position and would excite the fan base, I would think, to get Bill Belichick in the building.
I mean, I do understand, like, you're building a program. Bill Belichick is 72.
Okay, so
there's certainly that argument for college, like that. It's not the right timeline.
So here is the article from the Charlotte News and Observer. Belichick, the source told the News and Observer, has genuine and high interest in the opening at UNC, and he blew them away in the interview. Still, his candidacy is seen as a long shot, to put it mildly, due to his age and lack of college coaching experience.
But it said,
to put it mildly, like, North Carolina is making a huge mistake here if they're not taking this as seriously as Belichick is.
well, I think, he said, the source didn't say, he said is seen, meaning, like, people do not, everyone, like, I'm sure everyone's like, you're not going to hire this guy, right? It feels like the general vibe is you can't bring in a 72-year-old coach. And by the way, this makes no sense for Bill Belichick. There's got to be 5 teams that would bend over backwards to get him in the NFL next year. Why would he go to North Carolina?
Well, he said that the interest is genuine. Maybe he's looking for a different there's a couple things at play. Either he's looking for a different challenge. I think this is a very appealing job. And Bill Belichick, what does he want? Probably more than anything, total control.
Yeah.
You get that in a college program. It's your way or the only way.
I just don't understand why he would, unless he's going to a team that can win the national title, why he would go to college.
There might be something where he thinks he might be able to turn North Carolina into a national title contender. He might be able to think he can turn anyone into a national title contender. And I kind of get where he's coming from there. He is Bill Belichick after
Is he going to coach the basketball team?
No, Hubert Davis does that.
Yeah, no, I'm saying there's, North Carolina is a famously doomed football program. Famously. Like I always say they have more violations and first round picks than wins. They have all these great talented players and they've never done anything. They're not a very serious football program.
Well, even more reason to hire Belichick, don't you think? You put yourself on the map if you do that on a football perspective. You don't just need Drake May and Julius Peppers and every once in a while you get a great player.
Well, you hired Mac Brown. That should have put you on a national title winning coach.
Listen, and Mac Brown did a good job, I think, generally. Now, there's always a weird Mac Brown loss in there. and he kind of became known for that. But this is a massive, pretty big upgrade, don't you think?
Okay, how about this scenario? So one of the guys that is rumored to be in the mix for that North Carolina job is Army coach Jeff Monken. Now, what if he goes down to North Carolina and one of the service academy opens for Belichick, and his dad famously coached at Navy? That feels like a job. Like if you're going to to me, North Carolina feels like no chance to win at all, but he'd enjoy the process. Why not just be very pure about it and go to an Army or a Navy, go back to his roots?
Listen, if you want to go live in West Point, New York, it is beautiful up there, but it's not like living in Chapel Hill. It's beautiful, gorgeous, a little warmer. It's a little Bill Belichick to spend all this time in New England. Like I would understand if you want to go a little bit more south.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's a factor because he lives in New England. I think he'd be fine with that. I do think like that's like pure football, and he talks so glowingly about his father's experience in Navy. I think it's in every book like this. Like the first thing he goes to is Paul Brown and his dad at Navy. So to me, and maybe we disagree on this, like there's no way North Carolina is winning a national title. They have so many like structural problems. And isn't the rumor that they're going to the SEC at some point? Like the SEC desperately wants North Carolina. They'll get killed in the SEC.
Well, not if you have Belichick. Maybe he's the great equalizer. And maybe you start fundraising a little bit more. Maybe the NIL starts coming in a little bit more robustly when Belichick's attached to the program. Like whatever you think about Belichick, he's a winner. And the fact that he didn't get hired this last cycle was kind of surprising.
I mean, if you think the ACC is a JV league, then he should go in there and just run roughshod. If that's what everybody keeps saying, the ACC is so bad, anybody can go win the ACC. Look at SMU. Then Bill Belichick should go to, North Carolina and go 12-0.
Here's the other part too, though.
Playoff every year, if this is what people think.
He might be like it might be about championships at this point, but what more can Bill Belichick really do for his legacy in terms of a winner?
Go to some NFL team next year and make the playoffs. Also, he wants that NFL win record.
So that's one thing. If he was trying to break Don Shula's record, obviously this does not help you. So, but I don't think he cares about being up there with like this. We talk about Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl and won a national title, but Belichick is thought of as a much more successful head coach than Pete Carroll. I don't think Bill Belichick needs a college championship to cement some kind of legacy. It's 6 Super Bowls.
Dare I ask? Not that I believe this, but dare I ask? Is the NFL done with Bill Belichick? Like, maybe is that why he's going to college? Like, look at all the jobs that were available last year. Nobody hired him. And the Falcons wanted to hire him, and then they, Dimitrov, or whoever the GM was, he was the reason why they couldn't hire him. Like, because this guy in Atlanta. Mitch McKay, I'm sorry. He had more power in this situation than Bill Belichick did. Like, is there a chance that Bill Belichick, the NFL says, sorry, the game has passed you by. Like, we're really not that interested.
But you know how this goes with coaches. You're out of the league for a year and people start to miss you and you get like a fresh new like coat of paint or something and Belichick doesn't even need that, I think. But here's the other part about that. I also think Robert Kraft told Arthur Blank he's a pain in the butt to work with.
And maybe he knows that.
As if you couldn't figure that out on your own. But I think they believe that Robert Kraft spoiled like the waters.
And maybe Bill knows that. He knows that there's a very powerful multi-billionaire guy in the circle kneecapping him for every job he's going to try to get.
How about the Jaguars? I know that they have a GM who is controversial, but it feels like wouldn't they take Bill Belichick? Like somebody to get that ship straightened? Like if you're Shad Khan, you want like the deadly serious coach. He feels like a perfect fit for them.
Feels like a no-brainer to me. 855-212-4227. But I just can't get over the North Carolina side of this. The fact that the way this article is painting it is they're saying no thank you.
Why? I feel like I think the writer is taking I'm not sure. Like, I don't think North Carolina would bring him in and not have any interest in it because I think that they would be worried about the criticism.
I don't think so. I mean, it's a sourced story.
Or they just did it to help him. Well, no, but the wording was he is seen as a long shot. He didn't say, my source said that.
To put it mildly.
Well, that's that guy's opinion. But that being said, like, which job is easier to get to the playoff? North Carolina in the ACC, UCF in the Big 12, which is definitely vulnerable, or Army is that last independent, or Navy is that last independent. Like, he could go to any of these schools and turn them around, but he's 72. Doesn't it take 3 years to build a program?
I mean, maybe he's doing this for a different reason. I I got to get to one of these phone calls here because last segment we brought you a story. It was a sad story, but, really a celebration of a man's life who recently passed away. Dr. Weiss in Canada was known as the Wayne Gretzky of vasectomies. 60,000 procedures done, and that caused Tyler in San Francisco to call our radio show. Good morning, Tyler.
Hello?
Tyler, what's up?
Hey, it's nothing gross, but like anytime a vasectomy comes up or anything like that, it just makes me think. I went in for mine, and just normal, the person beforehand comes in and does the prep work, I guess, and then here comes the doctor, and he just comes in super like deadpan, nothing serious, sits down, asks me how I'm doing. He's like, "Can you tell me your name?" I go, "My name's Tyler." He kind of looks at the chart, and he goes, "Tyler, do you like Barbra Streisand?" And I said, "No." He says, "Too bad." And he just starts playing Barbra Streisand music for 15 minutes. That was it.
So he had a soundtrack.
He had a whole soundtrack of Barbra Streisand's greatest hits, and like it was just okay here, and it made me take my mind off what was happening, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay, well, Tyler, yes, that's memorable. I wasn't sure if Tyler was familiar with Perloff's Barbra Streisand story, or if there was maybe some kind of connection there, but I don't think so. I think that's just the story.
Do you want to hit Barbra Streisand during that kind of procedure?
Yeah, something nice. She's got a beautiful voice. I don't want to listen to Metallica. That's not the vibe.
15 minutes.
Long or short?
That sounds pretty easy.
Oh, you're trying to poke holes in Wayne Gretzky of vasectomy's resume here.
I mean, obviously, I'm revealing I maybe have not had one, but I generally he made it sound like you're in and out. Is that how long?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Any alarms in her power, but wait, hold up, no seat in sight. Her chair is gone this quiet night. Odyssey's finest, infinity's pride. Now Amy's pacing, no place to slide. She scans the room, but it's just air. A burning question, who took my chair? Ooh, who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Gel with his innocent stare? Or Ryan Hickey with his towering hair? It's not people lying, he's never there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? Zach says, hey, I didn't steal, I never mess with Amy's wheels. Ryan's hair is high and proud, but he swears he's innocent, yelling out loud, I got no motive, I'm just tall. His hair almost scrapes the studio wall, but Amy's still standing, no time for lies. Someone's gonna pay, no more alibis. Who stole Amy's chair? Was it Zach Gel with his innocent stare? Or Ryan Hickey with his towering hair? It's not people lying, he's never there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? The chair is gone, Amy's on fire. Infinity Sports has one desire: to return the throne before the show, or Amy's wrath will surely glow. Who stole Amy's chair? Zach and Ryan, do you even care? Is it hidden under Hickey's hair? Or maybe Gub's got it, he swears, I swear. It's not Pete Bellotti, he's still not there. Somebody fess up, who stole Amy's chair? So if you see a chair on the go, rolling around on some late night show, called Infinity Odyssey 2, Amy's coming, and she's looking for you.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Hatton will snap it. There it is. Fox the hold. Kick away.
Yes,
it is
sir.
up and it is good.
Yes, sir.
These Detroit Lions.
Yes,
you want to
sir.
talk about grit. You want to talk about determination. You want to talk about resiliency. This team is all of those things. What a night for the Detroit Lions.
Thank you to Lions Radio. I want to talk about risk-taking and how Dan Campbell consistently has gone for it, Perloff, where other coaches on fourth downs and fourth and shorts would not have the guts or the backing of the organization or whatever to feel like they can take these kind of risks. And they are paying off because the Lions now are 12-1. They are on an 11-game winning streak. They have the inside track to get the number one seed in the NFC. And beyond that, I think they're intimidating in a way that they have never been before because their head coach will go for it on fourth down at any point, and you have to be on your heels, and he can keep you on your heels.
Yeah, I don't see it that way. I think they have the most talented team because their GM is immense a genius who can pick nothing but amazing players. So they line up, and except for the defensive injuries, which does play into what you're saying a little bit,
yeah.
But they're just the better team. I mean, they are. When you hit on every single draft pick for 4 straight years and you have superstars, then you bring in guys who contribute, like they are just so good. Their offensive line combined with those 2 running backs, combined with those receivers, combined with Jared Goff is an unstoppable formula. So I just think if everything else is the same, they're the best team. They're the most talented team in the NFL.
So they are, but they were dealing with tons of injuries, especially on the defensive side last night, and they were losing guys during the game as well.
But you say they do it all the time anyway.
I think they do, but I also think, yes, I do think they do it all the time. I think it was particularly helpful last night because Jordan Love got hot in the second half.
I don't think they well, first of all, it kind of hurt them a little bit too last night. Because there's risk involved and they missed one that gave the Packers an easy touchdown. I just think they don't need it. I think that they are the best team and they should play like it. And they were at home and they went up 10-0 in that game. And I was saying to myself, I'm like, well, why does it feel, it must have been the defense. They're going to let Green Bay right back into this. Jared Goff throws a bad interception.
Yep.
Then they miss a fourth down. Like they kind of, I don't know. Like I feel like they play with their food and are giving up their talent advantage by doing dumb things at times.
Yeah, see, I don't see it that way. And I'm not just trying to play the result here. I think they have found an edge. Could they win another way? Yeah. I mean, could the Chiefs win without doing trick plays with Patrick Mahomes? Yes, I do think they could, but they still do it. I think
That's a good point.
I think it's they feel like they found a secret weapon, and like the Chiefs, I think you and I also don't see this the same way. I think there's a boogeyman aspect to how the Chiefs always pull out these wins. And I think the Lions are developing that same type of intimidating persona because they're going for it. It's almost like it's kamikaze. Like they will go for it. They don't care. They're always going to take this risk, and they'll live with the consequences. And to be fair, last year, the NFC Championship game, that couldn't have been worse, right? You're up to this big lead on the road against the 49ers, and a couple fourth down plays and calls did cost you the game.
Yeah.
And it didn't fracture the team. It didn't put Dan Campbell on the hot seat. It didn't do any of the things that we thought it might do.
It kept them out of the Super Bowl.
But they're right back here, and they're stronger now. And so if they end up going to the Super Bowl this year, which it looks like they're going to do, especially if they have the number one seed and home field advantage, then they will have proven that this was the right philosophy.
Yeah, I'm not sure I see it that way because I feel like if they didn't do this, then they'd be the Super Bowl favorite and might even be a little heavier. It's not just that, too. There's other things, too. There's this – I don't always trust Jared Goff in big moment. I don't know what it is. Like you mentioned Patrick Mahomes, fourth quarter of a big game, like I know Mahomes is going to deliver. For some reason, I do have a seed of doubt about Jared Goff. I have a seed about Jameson Williams and making a personal foul. I have a big seed of doubt about all these defensive injuries. They looked – unbelievable in the first half. They were terrorizing Jordan Love. And then for some reason, the Packers made adjustments and were able to get him. What I do like is the fact that they can run on anybody. And I think the Eagles and the Lions playing the NFC title game, it is going to be a running back off. And whoever controls that game, that's the thing. It's going to be such a thin line. Like you can't make a mistake if you're Detroit. Like you have to be almost like you have to control the game. You cannot go for it on fourth down at the 27-yard line and fail.
I know, but listen, John Harbaugh even went for it for a fourth down deep in his own territory. I think sometimes it just calls for it. But Jared Goff had 2 touchdowns last night that both came on fourth down. And I know he also had a bad pick, but I
love the fourth down, but those were deep inside.
Yeah.
That was at the 1-yard line. So if you miss, the Packers have 97 yards in front of them. That's a good situation to be in. When you're at your own 30, if you miss, then the Packers are at the 30. Like it's a way different analytic.
I get it. But I also think that they believe, if we kick the field goal here, that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I don't mind the 4th and 1 going forward deep in their territory because you're kind of putting the Packers in a tough spot. I don't like in the middle of the field where, at the 30-yard line, and it's like one, it's not even really a 1. It was like a 1 1/4 on that play. It felt ill-fated from the second they snapped the ball.
Here's Jared Goff last night. It says the Lions did plan to go for it a lot on fourth down.
We came into this game knowing we were going to do it maybe a little bit more than usual. Dan had mentioned that early in the week that he was going to really lean on our offense to make some things happen and certainly be aggressive on fourth down if the opportunity presented itself. And there at the end, I know he was kind of in between on what he wanted to do and obviously made the right decision.
See, I think that matters, right? I think it matters when the coach is saying, we're planning to do this, we're going to do this, this is who we are. So when it became crunch time, he followed through on it. This is who we are, and we're going to keep going for it. More from Goff here, said Campbell challenged the offense to play well.
Division game, it's at home, it's prime time. Told us early in the week he was going to lean on the offense, kind of challenge the offense really early in the week, challenge myself, challenge, the guys on the offense, like, hey, it's your turn to hold your weight and carry the load and make this thing happen and make this thing go. And for me, that's like the greatest feeling ever. You're like, all right, let's effing go and let's make this thing happen.
But you say that, like, who cares? I mean, the messaging, like, Goff knows Dan Campbell at this point. They clearly love their coach. They trust their coach. Yeah. He doesn't need to follow through on that message. Like, they're all in on Dan Campbell, and he's obviously a very great motivator, great players coach. Like, he doesn't need to stay consistent. And I actually hadn't heard that sound. So Goff said he was in between on that last one.
Yeah.
Because it was a really close call analytically.
Definitely. It's 4th and inches, and you had a 38-yard field goal that you could have just kicked that. It's not like you were asking Bates to kick a 55-yarder.
Yeah.
38, even in this crazy year of kicks going totally wonky, that's automatic.
Right, so if they had kicked the field goal with 40 seconds left, so you're giving Jordan Love the ball at the 30-yard line with 40 seconds. Yeah, you know what? Now I think about it, that is a kind of a lot of time, but he didn't have timeouts. So, you catch the ball in the middle of the field, and then you're scrambling. So there is a situation. As long as you protect the sidelines, the Packers might get 4 plays.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what the Chicago Bears thought was going to happen against the Commanders. Again, like you don't know, and Jordan Love is one of the top echelon quarterbacks in this league. So, and they had hit some explosive plays earlier. Like I thought Dan Campbell was great on this one. And the other thing too about the constantly going forward on 4th down and it being part of your philosophy, you get reps at it. High pressure situations.
Yeah, and the guy fell on his face. Like, what are those reps doing? Jared Goff literally takes a snap and falls like a crash test dummy.
Well, he stepped on his foot. He got tangled up. He didn't just fall because he's clumsy.
I thought you had all these reps on it.
Well, maybe this helps when they have to go for it in an even bigger
And what about
game.
the one before that? The one before that where they got stuffed, that play was a disaster too. That, like, from the get-go, it was like, this play is not going well.
But on the 2 before that, they scored touchdowns on 4th downs.
Again, different situations. Very different situations. They're deep in the territory. And even those, like, that's not a high percentage play. Like, I tell you, like, they're going to let the other teams get back in this game with some bad decisions. Because if they just played straight up at home in Detroit, they're going to storm through the NFC. Just hit you with Montgomery, hit you with Gibbs, hit you with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Get Sam Laporta out there on one-on-one. They're the best team. They don't need a gimmick at all.
We are asking you today, is Dan Campbell more of a weapon or more of a liability? At 855-212-4227. You can also watch the show, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network, and on X at Maggie Gray. We say good morning to our amazing affiliates. We love you. We're obsessed with you. Sirius XM channel 158 as well. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in on that and all things that happened last night. I do want to mention, though, we have in college football championship weekend. This is it. All the big championship games, Perloff, and I believe we had some oddly specific predictions for some of these championship games.
Yes, so it's going to be a fun weekend. Not all the games mean something. They do mean something, but not all of them are win and you're in or lose and you're out. But let's get into it. I'll start. Oddly specific predictions for championship weekend. Let's start with the big one, Texas.
Got it. SEC championship
rematch against a Georgia team that killed them. I think this game comes down to something you've been citing all year long, the Arch Manning package. It is going to come down to an Arch Manning touchdown run. Very close game. I think from 7 yards out, Arch Manning makes a cut, fools the linebacker, gets in the end zone. Texas wins by 4.
Wow. So like we saw in the Texas A&M game, but just the final play of the game.
Final play of the game. No, not final play of the game. There's going to be 32 seconds left. So Carson Beck gets another chance and throws an interception at the last play.
To see our oddly specific predictions for the championship game. But you kind of took a little bit of mine there because my oddly specific prediction for that game specifically is Carson Beck throwing 3 interceptions. Now, he did it against Texas the first time they played, but Beck, to his credit, has not thrown a pick in 3 straight games. I think in this game he turns back into the pumpkin picker, whatever we're gonna call this, the pick thrower, and I think we get 3 more to match the first time these two teams played, even though Georgia did win that game.
I love that.
That's my oddly specific SEC championship prediction. Okay, yeah. You have another one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the Big Ten. Oregon, Penn State. Now, we know nobody trusts James Franklin in big games, so this is not going to be a hot take to say that Oregon will find a way to win. But I think they're going to be trailing, and I think Dylan Gabriel is going to have 3 straight scoring drives because it doesn't feel like he does that every game, where it's like the Oregon is like, they're messing around, and then when Dylan Gabriel needs to like storm them down the field in 8 seconds, he does. I think he gets red hot in the second half, and Oregon wins by 9. So 3 straight scoring drives.
Wow, okay. Mark it down, guys. My oddly specific prediction for this game is a little bit broader. I think this is the game where James Franklin wins it. And you want to know why? Is there's not one person on earth who thinks that Penn State's going to win this game unless you live in State College, PA, or spent 4 years there in your teens and 20s. Because James Franklin, nobody thinks he can win a big game because he doesn't win big games. And I think this is the no one saw him coming game. And everyone's writing him off. It's not even a big deal like it was before the Ohio State game. I'm rarely seeing people talk about it, write about it anymore. And I think this is where he surprises everybody.
Well, I would think I would counter that argument and say it's not a big game in any way whatsoever because
the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah, and you're much better off if you're the 5 seed. So if James Franklin wins this, you know what the narrative will be like. Well, that game didn't mean anything anyway.
But he would have to get credit that this is a big win. It's the number 1 team in the country, and they're undefeated. This pokes the hole in the narrative.
I don't think so. I think honestly, I think if they win this game, then the narrative will be, well, Oregon didn't really care about this game. And there is a sense of, because they're not reseeding, there is definitely a lack of urgency around this game. Like the 4-5 or the 5 seed is almost as good as the 1 seed. That's something that I think they will fix. One more.
Yeah, go ahead.
This isn't even oddly specific. For the same exact reason, I think Clemson's going to beat SMU because I don't think SMU feels the urgency because they know that they're in. And I think that they are in. Unless they lose by 50, I just worry that SMU is going to come out flat. Does that logic make sense to you?
I don't think they're going to be flat, but I can see Clemson winning this game.
But not based on the fact that they're a better team or based on that they have more motivation? Because one team is win and you're in, lose and you're out. The other team is win or lose, you're in.
Yeah, see, I also want to make sure that's true, though, if I'm SMU. Are we sure I'm 100% still in, even if I lose this game?
Well, that's a great question.
I don't trust that committee at all. I trust them when it comes to the SEC and the Big Ten. All those teams always get the benefit of the doubt. Did the ACC and the Big 12 get the benefit of the doubt? I don't think so.
A bye may also mean more to them than like an Oregon.
Sure.
Wait, say it again, EJ?
A bye may mean more to them than a team like Oregon. Like, this is SMU, small school. You know, they want less games to get to that championship.
But Clemson is going to be super desperate. Right. Not that Clemson is very hard to predict right now. They have been a very inconsistent team. I don't know. I feel like the desperation is a big motivator. Like, Clemson's going to leave it all on the field. If SMU got left out for Alabama, I don't know what to do, Maggie. I don't even know if a 2-loss SMU, with the loss being the conference title game, that they're only there because they had the best record in the conference. That would be a crazy, crazy leap. And, oh, my God, that would make a lot of people mad.
You're right.
Yeah.
My last oddly specific prediction for championship weekend in college football is something that you and I have talked about quite a bit, which is whether or not the weather is going to play a role in any of the first-round matchups when we actually get into this 12-team tournament. My oddly specific prediction is you are going to hear weather as a reason why the outcome happened for some of these games. And specifically, I'm talking about Tulane going to West Point, play in upstate New York. A team from Louisiana is going to go. I just looked up the weather, West Point. The high is 36. The high on Saturday, and that game's at night, I believe. Yeah, it's 8 p.m. on ABC. That's Friday. Excuse me, that's Friday. What's the weather Friday? Tonight,
no, it's
30. Oh my God, it's even colder.
The wind chill is really bad too for that one. The wind is going to be whipping. But who cares about Army Tulane? That game means nothing.
I'm just telling
you. The narrative
is the AAC, the American Athletic Championship game. We're talking about championship weekend. These are oddly specific predictions. I think that weather is going to be cited when Tulane goes to play Army, and it's outdoor stadium at night, and it's 30 degrees is the high. And same thing with Boise, the Mountain West champion. You have UNLV coming to Boise. Just check the weather in Boise tonight. High is 33.
Right, but the weather narrative of the season is something different.
We said championship weekend.
Well, yeah, but you are aware of the big weather story, right? That the college football playoff will have cold weather teams hosting games.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. I think we get that a week early.
No. But that Tulane Army has nothing to do with the college football. I think this is it's
still
notable.
A championship game, championship
weekend.
But
right. But because Tulane lost to Memphis, that they're not part of this anymore. So,
but Boise is still a big game for Boise and UNLV. This is a win and you're in.
It's funny.
It is.
I know, but I feel like UNLV has played up there.
They have. It's a tiny bit different. I don't remember Tulane playing at Army this late in a season.
Right, but that game doesn't mean anything. What happens when Arizona State has to go to State College? That is the story.
I know, but that's next week.
Yeah,
this is this week.
But that's a real story. This is just a one-off. Like, that is like, oh, God, you know what I'm talking. EJ, help me out here.
No, I got you. Yeah, I mean,
we've been talking about this weather setup for the playoff. You and I specifically have been arguing about it for 5 weeks.
Okay, so take Tulane Army away from it. Although there still is an outside shot here. I think that Army gets in if things break right, maybe. But
really? Wait.
I thought maybe not. UNLV, though, Boise, is this not a win and you're in?
Yeah,
I think it definitely is. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it
guess
definitely is.
if Army crushes Tulane and UNLV wins on like a controversy, maybe the committee could say we'll put Army over UNLV, but that'd be hard.
I'm just saying, all year long we've been talking about what if Alabama has to go up to Indiana or
Right,
something
and I'm
like
giving
that.
it to you a week early.
No.
But you're saying this doesn't have any kind of implications. It clearly does.
Well, Boise it does.
Boise, they're playing for their lives right now.
Right, but also, too, and I will say this, and this might sound harsh, but Arizona State might have to go to a cold weather city. Who cares? Arizona State's not winning the 12-team playoff. They happen to be in it, but they're not going to run this whole table anyway. So I'm just saying this narrative that whether it's going to determine the national champion is not a thing.
Okay, but let's not be so tunnel vision. If you're Arizona State, yes, you may not win the national title.
Right.
But if you upset Notre Dame in South Bend, if you upset Penn State at State College, that is huge for your program. You can't, even if you lose the next round by 3 touchdowns, the fact that you would have pulled that off is such a program shifting win.
Big deal.
I disagree that it would be meaningless just because you don't win the title. If you don't win the title and you're Oregon, okay, maybe that's meaningless. But if you're Arizona State, that means so much if you could pull that upset.
Well, I would argue that the fact that they decided the first round matchups would be at the home stadiums, people are like, oh, that's going to possibly determine the champion because you could have like a real contender like Alabama going to a cold weather place. That did not pan out this year. Like weather's not really going to determine the champion in any meaningful way.
Well, unless it knocks out a potential champion. Like depending on if you think, I know you don't think Notre Dame is a legitimate title contender, but if you or someone out there who did, or if you're someone out there who did think Penn State was a legitimate contender.
But they'll host games, so it won't knock them out.
If they lose, it knocks them out.
Right, but they're helped by the cold weather because they'll have a warm weather team coming in. Right, that definitely won't knock them out. The cold weather will help Notre Dame and Penn State.
Exactly, but what I'm saying is, if there was an upset, you're saying it would have no. You're saying that these first round games being cold weather have no impact whatsoever, and I'm telling you that's not true. If Arizona State knocked off Penn State, that definitely impacts who wins the whole title because Penn State's out.
Yeah, you play spoiler.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
But the narrative was that a warm weather team would get screwed by having to go to a cold weather team. That's the opposite scenario. You're saying Arizona State is somehow going to go to a 30-degree stadium and win?
That's what I'm saying. That would be the upset. That
right,
would
but
be
the
crazy part.
But generally, the weather hurts Arizona State. That's the thing. Like the thing
no
is,
kidding.
They're saying the warm weather teams are getting hurt by the cold weather. You're saying Notre Dame or Penn State would get upset. They're the ones who love this cold weather scenario.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying UNLV playing Boise today or Tulane going to Army. That's why I think weather is going to be a factor. What I'm saying to you, you're saying that it could not impact the college football playoff at all. And I'm saying if there's an upset, it definitely does.
The weather narrative is, oh man, are Alabama and Georgia going to get screwed by this thing? That's what we all know this is about. Yes, I understand this is a big game, but come on. This is not going to determine, the Boise State UNLV game is not going to determine your national champion unless Ashton Genty goes on the run of all runs back.
Yeah, 855-212-4227. There you go. Oddly specific predictions for this weekend, and it gets going tonight. UNLV, Boise, 8 o'clock on Fox, Tulane and Army, 8 o'clock on ABC. Man, they couldn't have staggered those. I could watch 2 at once. Come on, networks.
You have your whole TV setup. I see you're fine.
No, I know. I don't think most people look like they live in a Buffalo Wild Wings like I do.
How are you going to, I actually was thinking about that. You have to do that, but you can't squeeze all the games in one day. Otherwise, we'll be up from unless you could do a London game.
Yeah, right. Well, and I know Friday night's tough for TV. But Major League Baseball playoffs makes it work. Sometimes they'll have an NLDS or an ALDS game. They'll start at 5 o'clock Eastern time. And I think those pull pretty good ratings. And it's football, so it'll probably be triple.
Women's Final Four has done great on that Friday.
Yeah, right. They've done a good job. 855-212-4227. So there you go. Get your 2 TVs, go to a sports bar, whatever. Both these games starting at 8 o'clock. Okay, coming up next, our pal Nick Kostos tries to win us some money.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Big play last night. Dan Campbell at his own 30 goes for it on 4th and 1, comes up short. What pops into Andrew Perloff's head? Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Nick Kostos, I cannot wait to have him on Friday and say, ha, Dan Campbell went for it and it failed miserably. And then things changed towards the end, Maggie.
Yeah, well, they went for it 5 different times last night on 4th down, converted on 4 of them. The most notably, last drive of the game, 4th and inches. Could have just taken the 38-yard field goal. Could have played it safe, but that's not what Dan Campbell and Nick Kostos do. No. They are full speed ahead, and they go for it, they get it, and then they bleed the clock out and kick a walk-off field goal. Nick Kostos is with us. Hey, Nick, how you doing?
What's going on, guys? Happy Friday. I did love to see that from Dan Campbell last night. I do wish that Matt LaFleur had done the right thing and let David Montgomery score, which you really should have done, just to get the ball back, since I laid 3 with the Lions and watched the entire game only to push my bet. But great to be on with you guys today.
It's a fair point, but I wonder now, Nick, don't you think this season people have been so hyper aware of when to score and when not to score? I feel like guys are going down almost sometimes when they don't even need to, just because out of the fear of making that mistake.
Sure, I guess like it's possible that if the Packers had parted the Red Sea to allow David Montgomery to score, maybe he would have gone down. But
like Isaac Guerrero did it.
I would have liked to have seen it happen.
Yeah,
I would like to have seen it happen. Let's try it out and see if we can get into the end zone here. But yeah, obviously, Dan Campbell did the right thing. I don't care what analytics says. If you can't get 1 yard with that offense and that run game and that offensive line, then I don't know what the point of this whole thing is. If they kick the field goal there, Bates is probably going to make it. Okay, great. Now you give the ball back to Jordan Love. What do people think's going to happen on that Packers drive? They're not going to get into field goal range, and they have a kicker with a huge leg in Brandon McManus. I think Dan Campbell absolutely did the right thing. And for everyone clutching their pearls this morning and getting mad and yelling at clouds, they were not losing. The game was tied.
Yeah.
They weren't losing the game when he went for it. So I think it was absolutely the right move. And Perloff, I'll take this a step further. I'm actually angry about what happened last night because I think back to the end of the first half in the NFC Championship game against San Francisco when he kicked a 21-yard field goal with Michael Badgley.
Yeah.
Should have gone foot to throat in that moment and tried to put San Francisco away. So, he goes for it. Actually, not enough for my liking.
Nick, you're wild, man. All right, let's try
Nick,
to win some money.
Let me ask you a question. If the Lions play straight up against, say, my Eagles in Detroit in the NFC title game, and there's no fourth down shenanigans, just straight up, who is the more talented, better team?
But, what kind of...
Detroit. Detroit doesn't need to do these fourth down tricks. They're just a better team. They're going to run it down everyone's throat. Just play football.
But this is the Lions. This is their identity.
They don't need to do any of that. They're so much talented. They have all pros at every spot.
That's like saying a bird doesn't need to fly. It's the reason why the bird's here. This is what the Lions have done since Campbell's been there.
It's not because of Campbell. It's because of Brad Holmes' GM just picks nothing but all-stars. They have Jahmyr Gibbs.
Did you wake up this morning and be like, I got to issue the hottest take of all time? Dan Campbell gets no credit for the Lions' success.
Well, honestly, I think Dan Campbell is one of the reasons the Eagles have a chance in the playoffs. I think the Lions are a better team top to bottom, but he could make a mistake. And that is not a hot take either. A lot of people are worried about Dan Campbell.
So this is the question today. Is Dan Campbell a liability or is he a weapon? I say weapon. Perloff says liability.
Stop it. I guess it's a reasonable debate if people, reasonable minds can disagree. Come on, man. Would you rather Brian Dable or Dan Campbell? Think about some of the conservative. How about this big spot? Would you rather have Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay making a decision or Dan Campbell?
Would you? Okay, it's going to be the NFC title game. You watched that last fourth down play. Jared Goff threw up all over himself. Jared Goff threw up all over himself in that fourth down play. He fell to the ground and luckily hit it off. They're going to, just like last year's playoff game, they're going to feel the pressure on one of those 4th and 1s. The Eagles have the push.
They got very, let's be honest, let's call it like it is. In the NFC Championship game against San Francisco, they were extremely unlucky not to win that game. Extremely unlucky not
the
to
Brandon
win
Ayuk catch
in that game. Off Kendall Vildor's helmet. You had the Josh Reynolds 2 insane drops, one on 4th down and one on a 3rd down to extend the drive. Can you tell I bet the Lions in the game to win?
How about the Gibbs fumble too? I was rooting for the Lions.
But it wasn't Dan Campbell's fault that they lost that game. He should have gone for it on the 4th down at the end of the first. Kick the field goal, take the points. Yeah, how'd that go at the end of the game?
Well, how about under pressure, Nick? Jared Goff turns into a baby giraffe. How many times do we have to see that? His legs are going all over the place.
They're 12-1.
All right, let's get to some point spreads, money lines, and props, which is why Nick Kostos, the host of You Better You Bet, joins us every Friday, and also just to talk and chat and argue about Dan Campbell. Nick, let's start with the college stuff. The championship weekend here. What is your favorite play of the weekend? I'll kind of open it up for you. SEC, looking at the ACC. What do you love here?
Yeah, I'll give you two on two of the bigger games. Let's start in the SEC. So when Georgia and Texas played in Austin back on October 19th, I bet Georgia in the game, and I won my bet, and it was really awesome. If you had told me before the game, Carson Beck's going to throw no touchdowns and 3 picks, I would have ran over women and children like Costanza to try and change my bet to Texas. And Georgia was still able to win the game. Trevor Etienne runs for 3 touchdowns. So now we fast forward to the SEC championship game where maybe Trevor Etienne, Travis's brother, is going to play in this game, but we're not. If he does, he's not going to be 100%, right? And Carson Beck's on a heater right now for Georgia. 11 touchdown passes against 0 picks in his last 3 games. I think it comes down to trust for me in this game. Do I trust Carson Beck in a big spot? Do I trust Carson Beck to not? Well, that's kind of where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So I bet Georgia the first time these two teams played. I'll be on the other side here, and I'll bet Texas. I'll just say to everybody, you don't have to agree with me. You can like Georgia. If you like Georgia, please bet +3. Those are available right now with Georgia. And if you like Texas, please lay a -2.5. And I will close my handicap of this game by saying you can't trust anyone like Carson Beck with a full sleeve tattoo. I can't.
As someone who has a full sleeve tattoo, if you're not watching the show, Kostos,
Exactly right.
we just made some oddly specific predictions for the championship games, and mine was that Carson Beck turns back into a pumpkin this weekend and throws 3 more picks in this game.
Maybe he plays really well. I think we'll probably be saying after the game, soy un parador. He's a loser, baby. We'll win our bets on deal. Shout out to Beck. And Big Ten title game, Penn State and Oregon. Man, it's what's your definition? This is what the Supreme Court should be deciding. What's your definition of a big game?
We just had that discussion.
I love it. Is this, given the fact that if Penn State loses, they're still in the playoff?
Yeah.
Is this actually a big game for James Franklin?
No.
I agree. I think Drew Aller is going to be the best player on the field. I could be way stupid here, and I acknowledge that. It wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last. I think Penn State's going to win. I bet Penn State against Ohio State, and I was wrong. I know that James Franklin never wins the big games. I've got a feeling about Penn State. It's my opinion. My opinion can be worth nothing. I will back it up, though, and I will bet on Penn State. And maybe Oregon wins by 20, and I look like a jackass. I'm willing to take that risk. I'll bet Penn State. I don't know if it's #WeAre, everyone likes them, but #I am betting Penn State.
Nick, it's a good logic, but the one small thing I got to nitpick, Drew Aller's not going to be the best player on the field. Tyler Warren's the best player on the field for Penn State.
Sure, but that doesn't, the narrative is better if I choose the quarterback.
There you go.
Hey, what about motivation for SMU? Because they could lose and be in. Does that factor in your thinking on Clemson, SMU?
You would really hope that they try do their damnedest to win the game. People talk about Las Vegas, Vegas. It's the shadowy cabal that things, right? Which is obviously is nonsense. The real life shadowy cabal is the college football playoff committee, who will do whatever it wants to do with little to no explanation, and everyone just has to deal with it. So if I'm SMU, I'm not thinking, okay, it's great, yeah, we lose this game, we're still getting in. I wouldn't feel that way. Now with money talks, politics talks, Alabama's money, if I'm SMU, I'm going all out to win the game. I do think Kevin Jennings is a big game running the football here after what we saw South Carolina and Lenora Sellers do in the regular season finale against Clemson. So I do like SMU in the game. But I mean, if I'm SMU, I ain't resting on my laurels here. You got to go all out to try and win this game to get in.
Nick Kostos joining us, the host of You Better You Bet. Okay, let's move to the NFL. And this one I'm wrestling with, Nick, so why don't we start off with it? It's the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a 4-point favorite right now. They welcome in the Chargers. Obviously, Chiefs beat the Chargers earlier this season, but I'm real tempted to take the points with the Chargers. How do you look at this game?
Yeah, so I want to offer this context, dealing with, I think there are a lot of really smart people that come on my show during the week. I feel like almost everyone that I really respect likes the Chargers in this game. Thinks the Chargers are going to cover the spread. So I always want to offer that context right before I'm going to disagree with it. So all the smart people I deal with like one side, I like the other side. I like the Chiefs here in this game. Very quietly, The Chargers' offensive line has fallen apart the last 2 weeks. It's one thing to do it against the Ravens a couple Mondays ago. It's another thing entirely to do it against what was the worst pass rush in the league in the Atlanta Falcons coming into last Sunday's game, where Kirk Cousins handed them the game on a silver platter. Very lucky to win that game. And we have reached an inflection point now where everyone is so down on the Chiefs. I actually think that there's some value, like numerically, on the point spread of this game in betting Kansas City. So my strategy is going to be, my guess is, and it's an educated guess. I don't have to be right, but it's a pretty educated guess. I think that this point spread's going to come down a little bit before Sunday. Now, I don't think it's going to go to 3, but maybe this is like a 3.5 come Sunday night. I'm waiting to bet the Kansas City Chiefs. So again, like lots of people I respect, this is not like everyone's on one side of a game, which doesn't mean it's going to win, even if that's the case. But a lot of people I respect, like the Chargers, I'll be on the other side. I'll lay the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, Nick, I have a tough assignment. Can you solve Jameis Winston for us? Because 6.5 points for the Steelers to lay against the Browns seems like a lot. Is Jameis going to have a good game? He struggled against him, but it was in the snow a little bit. Not that he struggled,
he did win.
But yeah, I mean, his numbers were not like.
I gotta tell you, man,
Yeah.
I'm all over you today, Perloff.
Yeah.
I'm not letting you get away with anything.
Well, I'm just
today,
saying,
not
like,
after that Lions take.
He's had like 400 yards in every game or something crazy, but not against the Steelers. But I feel like 6.5, Jameis is hot. He's going to get the ball down the field. I kind of like the Browns here.
Okay, so but do you also acknowledge that Jameis could throw like 4 picks?
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
game,
yeah.
right? Like that's okay.
Someone's going to catch every pass he throws. It might be the other
So
team.
just he actually, just as a fun, like, I've been watching sports since 1990. He's actually a unicorn. Like, he's like a once in a generation player. It's actually true. In my lifetime, we've never seen anything like Jameis Winston. It is a bit. I'm being serious. It's not even. I'm not. That's not a joke. It's not shtick. It's the truth. So Perloff, if what you're saying is true, it is. Then I think there's 2 ways to think about playing Jameis Winston games moving forward. Like, you can bet the Browns to win, or you can bet them to lose by double digits, bet them to lose by a lot, and bet the other team alternates here. Because I think he can play well enough on any given Sunday to beat literally any team in the league, or like it could go really poorly and the Steelers could win this game by 17. I like Pittsburgh in the game. I think the point spread's a little short. Cleveland did get them a couple weeks ago. Russell Wilson's playing awesome football, so I like Steelers minus 6.5. I'm probably going to play some Steelers alternates also. Steelers minus 9.5, Steelers minus 13.5 at bigger prices. And I would honestly say, if people out there like the Browns, forget about the points, bet Cleveland to win the game.
It worked out for me when they played Denver because I said Jameis Winston, end of the game, pick 6 is why I like Denver. And it was.
I had the Browns. Yeah, it was really bad.
Sorry about that, but it's Jameis. Nick Kostos joins us every Friday from You Better You Bet. All right, Nick, we ask you every week for an upset pick. Now, this could be college. This could be the NFL. It's the artist's choice. Who do you have?
All right. Well, we talked about Penn State already, so I'll give you one in the NFL. And I will say, I don't love the upset board this week. I'm betting some underdogs. Like, I'm betting the Jaguars on the road in Tennessee. I bet the Jets plus 6, which is just, I can't believe I'm doing that again, but here I am. I bet the Jets plus 6.5 on the road in Miami against the Dolphins. I feel like Seahawks is a cop-out. I like Arizona a little in the game. So, let's make Maggie unhappy. Sunday afternoon in Los Angeles. Buffalo Bills coming off a trouncing of the San Francisco 49ers in the snow. Josh Allen with his MVP moment on the lateral from Amari Cooper, and now they travel to L.A., where I think Jared versus Braden Fisk and company can have some success rushing the passer. Matthew Stafford slicing and dicing. I don't know if you'll slice and dice them, but I think the Rams are more likely to win the game than the betting market indicates. I bet Rams plus 4.5. This number is like 3.5 now. That's less to pat myself on the back and more to tell people like the betting market is moving towards the Rams in this game, which doesn't mean the Rams will cover or win. Just saying, I think I'll take the Rams as my upset special this week, Maggie, against your Bills, heading into, by the way, because every NFL season right now is like MTV True Life. Everyone thinks we know, but we probably have no idea. Next week, Bills at Lions. Think about. And concurrently, while Bills-Lions is going on, Eagles-Steelers. Just think about all the games, the bangers coming up down the stretch, and how all our opinions will change as a result of the results of some of these games. I think Buffalo goes into that game, Maggie, off a loss coming up Sunday to the LA Rams.
I only have one thing to say about that, Nick, and it's how dare you. And Buffalo and Detroit is actually your early Super Bowl preview.
It could be. I'll tell you what, like we've talked about, though, you better hope Kansas City gets knocked out before the Bills have to play them.
This is why I'm taking the Chargers. This is why I think that Kansas City is starting to – they can't keep pulling these rabbits out of their hats.
I will say, if let's say Baltimore has a nuclear offensive game against – I don't think it would happen. Let's just say it did happen. The Chargers beat them, whatever. And the Bills don't have to play the Chiefs. I think the Bills would go to the Super Bowl. I think they would win the AFC and get absolutely waxed by the Lions if and when it happens.
Not true. No.
This is why betting's great, because we can put our money where our mouths are.
You want Josh Allen versus Jared Goff?
I want the Lions versus the Bills.
Okay,
I want Dan Campbell versus Sean McDermott. Perloff, who would you take, McDermott or Campbell?
Oh.
He doesn't like Dan Campbell. You
I'm
have no
not
ally
McDermott
here
fan
with
either.
Perloff. Nick.
So I want Perloff to answer the question.
I like Dan Campbell. I just don't like the fourth down. I like everything they do.
Hey, can you just answer the question or no, man?
Yeah, I would take Dan Campbell.
Yes, of course you would. Thank you.
But I do like Joe Brady.
What did the Super Bowl come down to last year? Mahomes versus Purdy. It always comes down to the quarterbacks, Nick. And if you want to bet against Josh Allen, against Jared Goff, hats off to you.
I felt like that came down to Kyle Shanahan not taking the ball.
Nick, you're the best. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You can listen and watch Nick on You Better You Bet. Nick, have a great weekend.
Appreciate it. Do you guys also love you guys? Wishing, maybe not Perloff, but Maggie, I love you. Wishing everyone minimal sweats winning bets. The absolute very best of luck.
We'll take it. 1 out of 2. Okay, lots more to do, including Bogusch is here with headlines, and we get you set for all the weekend's college football action.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. If you missed our interview with Nick Kostos, contentious one today. Kostos and Perloff going back and forth. You can always download the Maggie and Perloff podcast or use the rewind function on the Odyssey app. Is a great way to hear Perloff and Nick arguing about Dan Campbell and everything else.
We always argue about Dan Campbell. And now you're on Nick's side, too, with this Dan Campbell should go for it every time.
I've been on Nick's side. Not now. I've been on Dan Campbell's side. We had the evidence from earlier in the show.
Yeah, I think Detroit should just run it down everybody's throat and go to the Super Bowl and get a championship in Detroit finally since 1957, break the title drought. Don't mess around. I don't need anything fancy. I don't need to rely on Jared Goff. I just want to win that Super Bowl.
I appreciate the Nick Hill turn, just going after both of you guys. Like, Maggie, your Bills are getting smoked. Perloff, you know what you're talking about.
He's
Campbell's
crazy
the best.
about that, by the way. If the Bills and the Lions meet in the Super Bowl, Bills aren't getting smoked. That'd be a good game. Bogusch is here with headlines for us. What's up, Bogusch?
Well, we begin with Dan Campbell. Some call him the Dr. Ronald Weiss of fourth down decisions.
Deep cut.
He doesn't care about Perloff's feelings. He's got Maggie support. He's got Kostos' support. And he has the Lions support. That's all he needs. His team going for it on fourth down 5 times on Thursday Night Football. They converted 4 of them. 2 of the first 3 conversions were touchdowns. The last one came on that 4th and short in the final minute, already in position for the tie-breaking field goal. They got that first down. That allowed Jake Bates to kick the 35-yard game-winning field goal as time expired. Campbell fired up after the 34-31 thriller over the Packers.
That's where we freaking thrive. You did it again. You did it again. All right? It doesn't matter who's playing for us. It doesn't matter what's going on. You always find a way to win. That's what champions do. This is not happenstance, man. This doesn't just happen. This has been in the making, man. This has been in the making. All right? We are all supposed to be here together, man. We're destined for this. Just stay the course.
And ignore Perloff's objections.
I got it, to be honest. I don't know if Dan Campbell over potential Sean McDermott, Buffalo Bills, he would have the coaching edge, but he definitely have the coaching speech edge. And it's not even close. Are you going to tell people who Dr. Robert Weiss is? Or you're going to let it sit there?
I thought
You're
people
just
remember
joining
from
us.
last hour that he's the Wayne Gretzky of vasectomies, and he recently passed away, so...
Just want to make sure we're all on the same
Yeah.
page on this one.
R.I.P. to the GOAT.
Yep. To all the GOATs, really. Him, Gretzky, Campbell, all of them. The Lions have won a team record 11 in a row. They are 12-1 for the first time in franchise history, and they clinched a playoff spot last night. The Packers, meanwhile, fall farther back in the NFC North, now 3 games off Detroit's pace with the Vikings in between. The Washington Wizards were once 2-2. They're now 2-18 after last night's 137-101 beating from the Mavs, the 16-game losing streak, matching the longest in team history. They had one just a season ago as well. But don't worry, rookie Bub Carrington is doing just fine.
I could be mad at our situation or how I'm playing or how we playing, but, like, I'm in the NBA. Like, I get to play basketball for a living.
Thanks, Bub. Luka Doncic, 21 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists for the Mavs in that win.
I thought where you were going with that was like, but I'm rich, so.
I mean, close enough.
Well,
He's a rookie.
no, I mean, well, he's still rich, but.
And he's a baby, too. He's 19, right?
Yeah, he's a young guy.
No, at least he said because I get to play basketball for a living. Not LeBron James saying, I get to wake up tomorrow and be LeBron James and you have to wake up and be you.
The problem with the Wizards is Kyle Kuzma's been in the league for like 10 years. Probably would say the exact same thing. I get to wake up and play basketball. I also wore a really big pink sweater to the studio, to the court. Anybody saw that?
Last thing from me, the Oakland A's, or the Sacramento A's, whatever they're called, signed Mets righty Luis Severino yesterday. 3 years and $67 million. That is the richest contract in team history, passing a $66 million extension that third baseman Eric Chavez signed about 2 decades ago. Guys, back to you.
I didn't understand this. Like, this is the time you're choosing to make a splash. I appreciate what Luis Severino was last year for the Mets. He was a great Yankee. He was a good Yankee. He was the ace at one point, but he is not appointment viewing. Like, no one's coming to the ballpark because Luis Severino's on the mound.
No, this is the owner being the worst person in baseball.
Yeah, but it's 3 years, $67 million. That's like backup second baseman money.
Right, but this guy wouldn't spend money on anything. Let his team be terrible. Let the building fall apart. Took the team out of the city, and then within weeks of officially leaving goes, here's the richest contract in team history. Whatever it was, he created the richest contract in team history weeks after bouncing out of Oakland.
It's a troll.
It's a $22 million a year contract.
That he didn't give out for a decade.
Still pretty small.
That's not the point.
It's not. It's
Team Kostos, by the way.
It's a gigantic middle finger to everybody in Oakland is what it is. 855-212-4227. They didn't deserve that. Okay. Dan Campbell, genius or madman?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
On fourth down, Jared up under center, turns, gives it to Montgomery, gets the first down. Jared tripped as he came out from behind center, handed it to Demo, just barely got it to him. He got the first down to the 14-yard line. You let that clock run now. Down to 30, and the Packers can't stop it.
Lions radio, memorable game last night. Lions win, beat the Packers. They've now swept the Packers for the season. They've got the inside track on the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. They're 4-0 against the division. It's a historic start. Everything's just coming up Lions right now, Perloff, even in a game where they were losing guys on the defensive side of the ball, but the Dan Campbell aggressiveness is yet again the headline and going for it on that controversial fourth down play, and it sealed the win.
Yeah, it's not how I saw the game. I saw it as him playing with fire on these fourth down calls. Again, I feel like as an Eagles fan, like, yes, I like everything I'm seeing on the field last night. I've seen Lions defenders going down, more Lions defenders. I'm seeing Packers defenders going down because the Packers are also a major, major threat in the NFC. I'm not sure the Lions can beat the Packers 3 times in a row. That's hard to do anytime. They were right there, and it felt like Jordan Love figured something out during that game. The second half, he looked great. I think the NFC North is overinflated because they've beaten up on the AFC South. I think this NFC is going to be a wild, wild playoffs. I think there's going to be Dan Campbell's going to have to make this fourth down call in a close NFC title game, and it is going to be very, very controversial. I think it's going to be close. I don't think they're going to blow out teams.
So it's controversial, but he'll do it easily. And he'll do it with no conscience because that's just who they are. And he did it last year with no conscience, and it did burn them against the 49ers. But at the same time, they're right back at it again.
Yeah,
in fact,
kind of burned him last night, too.
He's doing it more. Well, it didn't, though, because, yes, they had one of their 5 fourth downs that did not convert. Did lead to a Packers.
By far the riskiest one because they were deep in their own territory. When you go for it on the 1, it's not nearly as risky because what's the downside? You don't make it, and the other team has the ball at the 1. The real risky one, like if he does that against a team like the Eagles with Saquon Barkley and misses, say Jalen Carter breaks through the line, then that's very bad. Because in a really close game, that could hurt you. That's why I say I think that the Lions are the best team, but man, they just feel like an adventure sometimes.
Well, that's for sure, but this is how they want to live. You know, it's one thing if you're riding this roller coaster and you feel like you're hanging on by the seat of your pants, or in a weird way, when the Lions play in this frenetic way and in this risky way, it feels like in control, though. It's controlled chaos because this is how they're choosing to live. It's not like Dan Campbell, who had been an assistant coach in the league for a long time. He understands. He could kick field goals. He could be conservative. It's not like he doesn't understand how to play that way. They're choosing to do this.
It doesn't feel controlled to me. It didn't feel controlled when Jameson Williams flipped the ball at Tyreek Stevenson's head in the Thanksgiving game and cost me my bet on the Lions spread. Because it doesn't feel control when Jared Goff has a key fourth down play and trips on the center's foot. Like
That was fluky, but he still got the ball to him.
Didn't feel control. I'm just saying it doesn't feel. They feel like they are fast and loose. They feel like they're playing with fire. It feels like Jared Goff is throwing into tight windows often. And it also feels to me, I'm going back to the NFC title game, get Jared Goff off his spot, and it can be an adventure.
Well, that's why I think last night was so particularly important, why they were extra aggressive. Even Jared Goff told us this after the game. They were extra aggressive, not just because the defense was banged up and they wanted to help out their defense, but because I think the Lions, while they would never say this, they want home field. I don't think they want to go to San Francisco. And this is not because Jared Goff can't play in bad weather, but I think they want the more controlled elements, because if you are going for it on these fourth downs, you don't want to worry about a wet football or the ground being slippery or all these things, these little margin things.
Yeah, but I mean, the same, again, I don't think, home field is not as big an advantage this year. It's been talked about a lot. I think a team like the Eagles, I don't think the Packers are very good outside. Like I think they looked worse in the weather in Green Bay than the Lions did. I think the Packers have looked pretty comfortable offensively last night, especially towards the end of the game. I just think it's going to be a very, very evenly matched, close NFC playoffs, and it's going to come down to one of these big calls. It very well might work. I'm not saying it won't. Sure. I'm just saying, I don't think they need it. I think they can pound teams. Their running backs are so good. You hit him with Montgomery, you hit him with Gibbs, then Amon-Ra St. Brown. That guy is amazing. I know you bet on him every week. He's great.
An Amon-Ra St. Brown over 5.5 receptions feels like it cashes every time, but I've gone away from that bet.
Yeah, well, last night he didn't get any targets.
He didn't get any. Here's the thing. You say the reason why they have these offensive weapons means they don't have to be super aggressive. I think the opposite. I think it's why they feel comfortable being so aggressive. It's because they know they can pick up a yard. And whether it's with Montgomery or whether it's with Gibbs or whether it's with Sam Laporta or whether it's now with Tim Patrick or now it's with Jameson Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Why is Jameson Williams going to help you get a yard?
Well, I'm just saying he's someone who has to be accounted for at all times. They have
not
so
on fourth
many
and one.
weapons.
I'd pray you throw to that guy, but you never know what's going to happen when he's on the other end.
We put a poll out for you. It's at Maggie and Pearl on X. Is Dan Campbell a weapon or a liability for the Lions? The public is with me. 71% say weapon, 29% say liability. And I would like to point out how different that is from last year after the NFC Championship game, when most people wanted Dan Campbell run out of town.
Right. Well, what's the difference between today's poll and that poll?
Well, they won versus they lost.
Right. So if they did not get the first down and Green Bay comes back and it's a field goal, do you think it'd be 71-29?
I kind of think it would be a little bit closer, because I think people understand now Dan Campbell is not messing around here when he's talking about being more aggressive. Because if you didn't change your behavior after what happened in the NFC Championship game last year and you blew a 3-score lead, then you're not changing. This is who you are. You're not whatever way the wind blows. So I think people respect it because it's who they are, and it's gotten them off to the best start in franchise history.
I don't think that has gotten them off to the best start. I think the fact that they have the best team in the NFL, they have the most talented team. Now, listen, the Aiden Hutchinson injury does change that a little bit. The defense is a work in progress. There were guys who didn't even know what the play calls were last night running around. Quan Alexander he looked so confused on so many different plays, but that's natural. It's not their fault they had injuries. I just think their offense is so unbelievably talented to say that they're that good because of the fourth down calls is ridiculous to me. They're that good because they have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. You just mentioned and now Tim Patrick, who is such a great possession receiver. I think they're that good because they're that good, not because of fourth down.
855-212-4227. So we'll agree to disagree on this one. I think Campbell is a weapon. Perloff thinks he's a liability. In fact, even a little more confident that his Eagles would have a better shot against the Lions in a big game because of Campbell. Okay.
I don't mention Nick Sirianni in that conversation.
Who's got the coaching edge there?
Yeah, I'm going to ignore who our coach is and just go with the anti-Dan Campbell take.
There you go. 855-212-4227. Okay, you can weigh in on last night's game. We have not gotten to the Packers side of this, by the way. We haven't really heard from a lot of Packer fans. I know we're on in Milwaukee. Are you devastated by this one? I mean, Jordan Love was ineffective in the first half. 3 for 7 for 31 yards.
Yeah.
They could not pick up a first down if their lives depended on it. And then the second half, totally different story. 9 for 13, 175 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And Dan Campbell, I think part of the reason they went for it on 4th and inches, besides the fact that it's in their DNA now, is because he didn't want to give any time back to Jordan Love. I think it was a healthy respect for Jordan Love, too.
Well, I think the Packers are like the Lions and the Eagles, ball control. They want to just run Josh Jacobs every time they possibly can. I think that first half they were desperately trying to establish Jacobs. The Lions defense looked like a house on fire to start the game.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but then maybe they got less aggressive because they did not seem like they were chasing after Jordan Love like the way they did in the first half.
Guys got banged up, too.
Yeah, could
Lee
be.
McNeil had to leave the game because of a head injury, and Brian Branch looked like he was banged up at one point.
I don't think the Packers are scared, by the way. I think they think they're in it. You know what I mean? Like, there was nothing about last night's game that said they can't compete with the Lions.
They might have a little confidence because they went on the road last year and beat the Cowboys so easily. Like, hey, if we have to go on the road, we could do this. We don't need Lambeau.
They look better in Detroit than they did in Green Bay against the Lions. I mean, this was a very close game, so they probably have some confidence. I assume they're going to meet again. It doesn't seem like fait accompli that Green Bay and Detroit are headed for a third matchup.
I'm here for it. 855-212-4227. All right, we want to play a little game here because we've had some news items coming up in the last 24 hours. We're going to play our favorite game, Do You Believe It? Executive producer EJ Stewart will throw us a topic. Perloff and I will tell you, do we believe it?
All right. So we talked about it in, I believe, the last hour that Bill Belichick interviewed with the North Carolina Tar Heels for their head coaching position. Not basketball, football. Do you believe it that Bill Belichick be interested in coaching at North Carolina?
I do not believe it. I think Bill Belichick is trying to get the ball rolling here on the interview circuit, sending a message. Listen, call me. I'm available. I'm open for business, but I ultimately think the NFL is where he wants to go. He's just looking for the right place who will give him a lot of power. But no, I do not believe he is actually interested in coaching the Tar Heels.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to counter you, but there's no way. If he goes to Chapel Hill, I will be beyond shocked because there's no upside there. There's no way North Carolina football is winning a national title. Why he would not go to the NFL. Now, you guys said something, or somebody said something, maybe a caller, that the NFL doesn't want Bill Belichick anymore.
EJ said that.
EJ, how is that possible? How could the NFL, with some of this coaching we've seen around the bottom feeder teams, not want Bill Belichick? It doesn't compute in my brain, Maggie.
Well, maybe the same reason about North Carolina. Is Bill interested in just any old NFL job, or does he want a specific one? I think he wants one where he's going to have a lot of power. So, for example, he's not going to be a candidate in Chicago. He may never have been, but he's not because Kevin Warren is the president there, and we see how powerful he is. And I don't think he wants someone disrupting that, for example. But no, I do not believe that Belichick is going to coach at UNC. And how hilarious would it be if he actually did want to be the basketball coach? The fact you had to clarify that is pretty funny.
Now, if it was Navy,
North Carolina.
Yeah, if it was Navy, then I would say yes, not North Carolina.
So let's go to baseball, where Buster Olney and Jeff Passan of ESPN are reporting that Juan Soto's contract offers are north of $750 million. That would be more than the record contract that Shohei Ohtani signed last year with the Dodgers. So do you believe Soto's contract will top $350 million?
No, 350. 750.
I said 350. Sorry, 750.
I do.
Wishful thinking.
I definitely do. That's pocket change to these guys. 780. The Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, and the Red Sox. I don't know about the Red Sox. The Mets guy is a bazillionaire. The Yankees are the Yankees. The Dodgers have more money than they know what to do with. Yeah, they can easily afford this. I totally believe it.
I do not believe it because I don't think that Juan Soto's taken the deferred money that Shohei decided to take. So it's $700 million, but you get 690 of it in the year 2050 or what have you. I think Soto wants the money. And so I think he'll take the bird in the hand, whatever that's saying. I think he wants the guaranteed now, so he would take less to have an average of, 50 or 60 million now instead of deferred money.
Sorry, is a 750? What is the reporting on how much of that is deferred? I didn't think it was like Shohei deferred.
I saw some saying that there is some deferred money.
But I still think it's close to a lot closer to a real 750 than Shohei's money, as I understand it.
I don't think anyone's going to take as much deferred money as Shohei decided to. That was still kind of mind-boggling.
Okay, so let's get to the last one here. And we kind of got a little bit of a hint of this from Cardell Jones earlier in the week, who said that he did not believe his former coach, Urban Meyer, wanted to coach in college football anymore. And Urban Meyer apparently agrees with Cardell Jones' assessment. He says this week that he has no interest in coaching again. Do you believe that Urban Meyer does not want to coach college football anymore?
No. I don't believe anything that Urban Meyer says. I think he absolutely does want to and will. I think he's going to be very picky about it, obviously, and very strategic. I think he doesn't want to create a distraction for Ryan Day when Ohio State is already down because they're lost to Michigan, but they still have the college football playoff ahead of them, Perloff. But no, I think Urban Meyer is live in every coaching cycle.
Yeah, I actually believe him, and I'll tell you why. I feel like he's gotten a taste for the easy life on TV. It reminds me a little bit of Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson probably could have gone back 10 times. Does he want the aggravation? I read that he makes $7 million a year now. I don't know because, what's the program where he's going back? It's got to be like a premier program, right? They all have so many headaches. I would almost stay in TV if I were him. Where would you go?
Notre Dame at some point. You could go to
That's
LSU
a lot of
at some
pressure.
point.
Oh, my God, it's even more pressure.
You could go back to Ohio State at some point. You could go to USC.
USC is interesting because at least it's in LA. But I guess all those seem like a lot of work, to be totally honest with you, especially a guy who's almost died when the last, he's a very intense man. I don't know. Also, the NIL thing, I think, hurts his chances of coming back. He's very much like Belichick and Saban. They're all really good friends. Saban, obviously, I do think left the game in part because NIL. Why wouldn't that apply to Urban?
Because I think he's an egomaniac. 855-212-4227. I think that was it, right?
That is it.
I think he's got a big ego, I think.
I mean, that TV life is good, though. And we all...
Man, you said he's making $7 million?
Yeah, I mean, he is...
Has he made one headline for them? Besides saying, I'm going to go back, and he didn't even do that on a Fox platform.
The only headline he made was
he said he's not going back.
The only headline he made was that meme. Remember that meme where it had that graphic of the things Urban Meyer teaches to his students? And it was all about honor and, being a good person. And everybody was like, this is the man that was grabbing ass in the club. You guys remember that graphic, right? Fox had that graphic of Urban Meyer's keys to success as a young person.
Here's the keys to success. Get rich, open a restaurant, name it after yourself, and then when young women come in there, dance with them. Like nobody's watching.
Crazy.
Yeah. See, that's the ego on the guy. The fact that he never thought that would get out. Everyone in that restaurant was just protect him, I guess. Nobody would spill a secret.
He told his employer he went to see his grandkids.
Yeah, he didn't fly back with the team. Remember that?
That was the whole thing.
Was such a debacle.
Yeah, that was the thing, is that he didn't go back with the team, and then that's what he was doing. It wasn't just that he was at the club. It was that they suffered a devastating loss to the Bengals. It was a game where they actually played one of their better games. It was a close game. Doesn't fly back with the team because he's in Ohio. I want to see my grandkids. I know your grandkid was 35 years old with blonde hair, tight jeans. I didn't think that was going to be what we were going to see.
Man. But yeah, I think he's going to coach again.
And by the way, for that group of friends, Nick, Belichick, and Urban, she was relatively old compared to the woman Belichick was dating.
Well, that's what we didn't bring up. Is Belichick just looking to go to college and take a job so his girlfriend can get free tuition or something?
Or if the things don't work out with his girlfriend, he'll have a new dating pool.
Maybe she's going for some kind
Les
of
Miles style.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, ethically, Belichick could
Scouring
definitely
the language arts community.
Ethically, Bill Belichick could fit in college football, but there's no way he has the patience to build a program in North Carolina.
What's his girlfriend's major was like history or something. That's how they connected and bonded on their flight.
I said something, and I kind of I guess she got an advanced degree, but it was in cosmetology. I'm reading.
Listen, great way to make a living.
Yeah, but I thought she had like a master's in history, not beauty school.
Maybe Belichick's into that kind of thing. I don't know. He was very curious about makeup shades. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, we both don't think. I mean, if he went to North Carolina, that would be the craziest headline. Like, how is he really going to have the patience to like go and visit the recruits? Can you imagine Bill Belichick walking into your living room? That'd be the funny. I'd love a video of that.
Well, because he's not Mr. Warm and fuzzy. Also, I don't think he's Mr. Car Salesman. You know, you're really trying to sell these recruits and their families. I don't think he's got any of that in him.
And if they ask, well, tell me about the program's legacy, what the heck does he know about North Carolina football?
Who's
let alone college
Bill
football?
Belichick about the legacy? No.
So tell me about your program and like how you guys have approached the college football. Like, well, I don't know. I run a 4-3 hybrid 3-4. Like, there's no way he has any idea how to recruit.
He doesn't have to. He's Bill Belichick. The name recruits itself, which is why the craziest part of this story is that it's North Carolina that's not interested, reportedly.
Do you think a 17-year-old has any idea? Like, Bill Belichick, the name recruits himself? I don't know that they even care.
Wait a minute, though. Nico, you're the youngest person on the show by a lot. How old are you?
25.
Do you understand the mystique of Bill Belichick or do you not?
Of course, yeah.
But if you're a 17-year-old like wide receiver out of Florida, do you think like Bill Belichick has a super advantage to you? Like, oh man, I want to go play for that guy?
I mean, if you're a football player, you should know who Bill Belichick is. Like, it's not like me not knowing what GQ is. Like,
yes, that was very different.
Player. You should know the history of the sport that you play.
It just doesn't strike me as a natural recruiting relationship. It's like, oh man, I can't wait to play for Bill Belichick. Nobody's ever uttered those words.
Well, wait a minute though. My question with this too is, if Bill Belichick is going to colleges, what the hell are these other colleges doing? Like, if North Carolina can get an interview where he's blowing them away, like, hello, Florida.
Yeah.
Like, get rid of Napier, Florida State. What are you doing? Like, there are a bunch of schools. I mean, dare I say Ole Miss? I know they love Lane Kiffin. Like, you want to get over the hump? Like, there are plenty of bigger programs you think that Bill Belichick, in theory, would be a better option, right?
EJ, his phone should be ringing off the hook today. Right. The fact that college is even a possibility. Ohio State? I'm sorry. Nobody should be safe now outside of who? Is there any college football coach who would be 100% safe if you put them up against Belichick?
You know, people hate playing for Bill Belichick. Everybody.
But you know what they love?
Every single person. Yeah.
They love winning.
You know, college kids, you know what they love? They love NIL money and they love targets and they love themselves. They don't care about that. There's no way Bill Belichick could be an effective recruiter. They like Ed O.
If you're built for this, you're built for it in college or you're built for it in the pros.
That's 100% not true.
Why not? Why is it not true?
Because college is a completely different sort of matrix of success.
I agree with Pearl.
No.
I mean, I think it's obvious. Like, you can recruit in college. You don't recruit in the NFL. You draft and you sign free agents.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the type of player, right? Like, if you're all about targets and yourself, you're going to be like that in college and the pros. In some ways, it's probably better to weed out those people if you want to play for Bill Belichick. Not everyone can play for Bill.
Well, I think now in college, you have to be very protective of your playing time. Like, you got to get out on the field, so you'll leave. And if the coach is rubbing you the wrong way, if the coach is like, I'm benching you, then you're like, okay, I'm transferring. Right, so, and Belichick always holds, he's old school. He would definitely bench a guy who did the wrong thing. So that guy's going to leave the program.
And what if guys like Tom Brady and others come out and said, like, this is that you should actually think about sticking it out and toughing it out. And beyond that, I think we give a lot of credit to the guys who do stick around.
Yeah, I mean, that's because of their contract. Like, if they had choices, like, they would obviously leave. And a lot of them do leave. I mean, he just doesn't feel like a rah-rah college coach either. I think a college coach, like, you told me Dan Campbell wanted to coach college. I'm like, yes, let's go. But, like, Bill Belichick feels like a football technician, not like a, hey, let's go beat him.
Listen, if you don't have to, if you're in a position where you don't have to take every last dollar in college to support your family or whatever, if you're in a dire situation, but if you're not, and if I'm a parent and my son's playing football and I have a chance for them to go play football for Bill Belichick, I'm doing it. And I don't even know if my kid's going to make it to the pros because that's never a guarantee for any person, even the highest recruit. But I want them to play for Belichick.
Not me, especially if you're a wide receiver. I'm thinking of those guys, like they will avoid that program like the plague.
855-212-4227. All right, lots to do. We still have picks to make and more next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie and Perloff show. Andrew Bogusch in. I want Bogusch to weigh in on this debate real quick because I feel like I was really right in the last segment and you were really wrong. Sorry. Not that you made a good point.
Maggie was right.
But there's no way Bill Belichick would be a good college football coach, right? Like, can you imagine Bill Belichick going into a living room and recruiting? The whole thing seems ridiculous to me.
Well, I don't think that happens anymore. I think this is just like who the NIL guys bring
That's a
to
good
you.
point. That's a good point.
It's like having a GM. Literally, they call them GMs, don't they? Who controls the purse strings,
yeah.
like whatever Woj does for St. Bonaventure.
I can just picture him coaching a bunch of 18-year-olds. It'd be like the third day. He's like, these guys are idiots. I can't imagine him having patience to coach college football. Those are young men, and they're totally undisciplined. Like, he felt like he couldn't even handle pros.
Who were contractually linked to him for multiple years.
Yes.
These guys are like 7 months at a time.
You guys are missing something. What did Belichick always love? When he could find value in somebody, even if they were a couple screws loose. Obviously, the most famous example and tragic is Aaron Hernandez, but I think he's okay. He wanted Randy Moss coming in. He likes the unpredictable.
I don't know. The second one of his wide receiver blows a blocking assignment and goes out to his Lamborghini, I think Bill Belichick is like, I'm done.
It'd be the same thing he's been doing for the last 40 years. He watched all these guys blow games and go with their Lamborghinis, and he dealt with it.
Yeah, but he
still
cut
won
all
a ton.
He cut all those guys. Yeah, but those are pros. These are college kids. Imagine.
Yeah, you can cut them easier in college.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying it's the truth.
I just feel like they're less, they're definitely less mature by definition. I think he'd blow a gasket unless he went to Army or Navy where there is no NIL and everybody's super disciplined and they would do what Bill wants and he'd be super happy where his dad coached. That is my best plan for him.
Maybe Service Academy students too, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, they're very regimented.
These are the best and brightest that we've got who are also sacrificing, for the good of the country. Maybe that's more of a Belichick type player, but it's not like the kids who are going to North Carolina are idiots.
No, not at all. But I think that Bill Belichick, it reminds me a lot of Bobby Knight, and I don't think Bobby Knight could coach in today's game because, he basically would be strangling guys who are making $20 million a year instead of guys who play for the Hoosiers. It feels like his temperament would not be an easy match to college football. I feel like Lane Kiffin is built for college football.
Jump in the portal.
Sark is built for college football. These sort of, I just don't see it. But maybe you're right.
His best friend is one of the most successful coaches in the history of college football. Belichick and Saban, attached at the hip. Same, coached on the same staff. So we think Saban, who's basically Belichick, who had all this success. I know they didn't have NIL for a lot of Saban's time.
Yeah,
but he could be super successful and Belichick's going to fall on his face.
Don't you think Saban's the first guy to go, bud? It's a different thing.
Yeah, also
Saban knows how the NFL didn't work for him.
Saban is Mr. Personality compared to Bill Belichick.
Well, the other part, too, you don't have to deal with an owner anymore. No more Robert Kraft meddling. No more Tom Brady's trainer gets to come in and tell everybody to stop eating tomatoes.
Yeah, but now you got dads and half agents asking for minutes guarantees and games played and this kind of stuff.
Bogusch, please wipe out every TV show on the face of the earth and just give me a hidden camera of someone's dad coming in to try to tell Bill Belichick that his son should be getting more targets. That's all I want to watch now.
It'll happen. I also
just give me that Netflix.
Definitely will happen.
Yeah, 100%.
And they get thrown out like DJ Jazzy Jeff from Uncle Phil.
I don't think so because I don't think any wide receiver is going to sign wherever Bill Belichick is coaching.
I also don't think that this is really real unless the NFL has already told Bill there's no place for him to coach next year.
I think also we talked about this off air that the agent of Bill Belichick just is getting as many interviews as he can to create a market.
Yeah.
And this is a great way to create a market in a harmless way. Also, if he went to USC, okay, at least you have a chance to do something. North Carolina has never won anything, ever, in the history of football.
Which is why they treat you like a king.
Yeah, but I also think people believe that they don't want football to ever really be that good because it can't be better than basketball.
Definitely.
But did you ever think you were getting a shot at the greatest coach of all time at the NFL? Probably not. So, yeah, not that Mac Brown was a bad coach. He won a national title, but you're not – Bill Belichick's in a different category. I think we'd all agree that.
Yeah, I mean,
he's earned that.
he would. I mean, I think his chances would be somewhere between no chance and 2% of success there.
That's why I think if he goes to North Carolina and wins the title, that would be more impressive than him winning a championship with any other NFL team.
Well, I mean, you might as well say if he went to Army and won a title.
Right.
You think it's that?
Yeah, I think Army has a much better chance of making the playoff than North Carolina.
Oh, I disagree.
Army almost made it this year.
I know, but I think North Carolina is kind of this wild, golden goose of like, why can't they be better?
Heck, go to UCF and run the Big 12.
I know, but I've seen guys win 10 games there. It's the ACC, SMU. SMU had the death penalty, and now they're in the college football playoff. Like,
but they didn't have the death penalty 7 weeks ago.
No, I know, but I'm saying, but they've been a dormant program essentially for 30 years.
Can you imagine? Also, you know how college football coaches recruit against each other? Can you imagine there's a quarterback and Bill Belichick comes in there? What Rhett Lashley's going to say about that? He's going to, I mean, those guys are going to kill Belichick on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, but I would say that, what are you going to do when Belichick calls Tom Brady and is like, maybe Brady stops recruiting for Michigan and helps Bill Belichick land the next Drake May? I don't know.
Maggie,
Belichick, they're
do you think
fine.
Brady? Come on.
They do the podcast. They're good.
Belichick and Brady.
Water under the bridge.
Yeah, I don't know. First of all, Brady will always be a Michigan man, so there's no way he's helping. He's like, I think you should go to North Carolina.
Definitely enough men in Michigan.
Definitely. We've got it with the Michigan man thing.
But Bogusch nailed it, though. North Carolina hamstrings himself. If the basketball is not number one there, they go into pure panic.
Can I also just mention for all the Michigan men stuff, which we know is really important to them, the reason why you flipped Bryce Underwood is not because of a man. It was because of a woman, Larry Ellison's wife, who decided to call Dave Portnoy and all of a sudden came up with the $10 million, allegedly.
And did she give...
Michigan woman saves program should be headline.
And did she not use her real name when she was talking to Portnoy? Because he was calling her that, like, Jolynn, and that's not her name, right?
Oh, boy. I don't know. And then I didn't...
And I don't know if we know...
because I think one's her daughter and one's her. So I don't know who actually reached out to Portnoy.
Okay.
It might have been through a proxy.
I mean, Larry Fedora won 11 games in North Carolina. If he can win 11 games in North Carolina, Bill Belichick can take the Tar Heels to the playoff.
But it's got to be fast because he's 72. He's got to turn around real quick.
I think he can get good players there.
What are you, Rhett Lashley already?
Oh, I'm just saying.
Somebody negative recruiting?
That's what
be there in 3 years. Wink, wink.
He's got to take a ready to go program, I think.
I feel you. Yeah.
Brett Lashley is going to be making $15 million as the head coach of Ohio State. He's not going to worry about that. Okay, Bogusch is here.
Your headlines are sponsored by Mint Mobile. Switch and get half off on limited premium wireless at mintmobile.com/score. I've got more from Dan Campbell's locker room speech last night. In the middle of yelling about destiny and resiliency and toughness, this happened.
There you go, Skip. Keep throwing up, whatever you're doing up there. You want to freaking land on the line.
That's when the camera cuts to Dan Skipper, who filled in last night for starting left tackle Taylor Decker. He's kneeling over, I think, what's a laundry cart, definitely in the middle of throwing up while Coach, and he catches Coach's eye while he's yelling about their destiny.
Hold on a second. That's like puking in the sink. It's like a terrible... You're going to puke in the laundry cart when the bathroom's probably right there.
Dan Skipper is my favorite NFL scrub ever.
He didn't do bad last night. He had one bad penalty against him.
And I say scrub like kind of
okay.
like more like in like not as a negative way. He's just a backup. But like he's like to me he's like Kevin from The Office. Like remember he was the guy that checked in that they said didn't check in last year.
Eligible.
He was so mad. He was going crazy. And then we all learned who Dan Skipper was. Now he's throwing up on camera. And Dan Campbell was pointing it out. I love this guy.
After Gibbs or Montgomery, one of them scored a touchdown, they went to high-five him. He's a gigantic man. I Googled his height last night. He's the tallest lineman in the league.
He's huge.
I had no idea. But why isn't he like good then? If he's 6'9", 350? Is he?
I just think Taylor Decker might be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And Penix Sewell has to be on the right side, I guess.
Yeah.
But, oh gosh, puked in a laundry basket.
Yeah, unless he was puking something next to the laundry basket, but he seems to be right up against the laundry cart. So it's happening where it's happening. And he can hear Coach's speech. But that's how much effort the Lions put in to beating the Packers last night, 34-31 in Detroit. Jake Bates drilling a 35-yard field goal as time expired after Campbell ran the ball on 4th and 1 from the Green Bay 27 with 43 seconds left.
Just felt like we needed to end it on offense, and I did not want to give that ball back.
The game winner was the fifth and final lead change of the second half. A franchise record 11-game win streak has the Lions at 12-1 for the first time ever. They also clinched a playoff spot last night. They earned the season sweep of the Packers, and they stayed perfect within the NFC North. In non-Belichick coaching news, Utah State is reportedly hiring former BYU head coach Bronco Mendenhall for that same position. And Eric Bieniemy is done after one season as UCLA offensive coordinator. Apparently, his agent says this was always the plan, one and done, so Bieniemy could go back to the NFL in 2025. The Warriors snapped their 5-game skid without Steph Curry and Draymond Green last night, 99-93 over the Rockets. Houston head coach Ime Udoka thought a bad start doomed his team.
You got to come with some energy, some juice from the start. If you guys really didn't look like they showed up till after halftime.
Jonathan Kuminga scored a career-high 33 for Golden State. Nikola Jokic had 27, 20 boards, 11 assists in the Nuggets' 126-114 loss in Cleveland. Jokic now alone in third all-time with 139 career triple-doubles. Brandon Ingram scored 29 as the Pelicans snapped their 9-game skid, 126-124 over the Suns, and the Thunder rolled through Toronto, 129-92. The St. Petersburg City Council has finally approved public money for a new Rays stadium. This decision had been hung up for the last few weeks, leading to a war of words between the team and city officials. A separate county commission vote on this matter comes later this month. Men's top 25 action. Penn State took down 8th-ranked Purdue 81-70. Notre Dame topped Texas 80-70 in OT in South Bend in a top 10 women's battle. And finally, Jets and Sabres in overtime in Buffalo.
Morrissey from the blue line, heads it back off to Lowry, a shot, stopped by Luukkonen, Lowry back in front, he scores! Adam Lowry will win it for Winnipeg! Jets win! Jets win! Jets win! In overtime tonight!
And then that guy died. 3-2.
Something
win.
you never hear on the football side. Sorry.
That seemed unnecessary, EJ.
Hey, did you see who's the dark horse candidate for your Jets, EJ?
No.
Mike
Bill?
Vrabel.
Oh.
No, not Mike Vrabel. Sorry. Mike Vrabel's your long shot. Arthur Smith. I'm sorry, America.
Oh, man. You talk
Arthur
about downgrade.
Smith.
Went from Tennessee head coach that's interesting to Tennessee OC that's been disgraced as a head coach.
But here's the thing. Pittsburgh, they're now putting points up.
Against
He's
the
their
Bengals.
offensive coordinator.
I think Nathaniel Hackett could probably scheme up some stuff against the Bengals right
He
now.
definitely can't.
You seen the Bengals defense?
I have, and even the Jets couldn't score on their sorry behind.
The Giants scored 7 points against them.
Poor Nico had his wisdom. Nico had his wisdom teeth out, 3 days ago?
Yeah,
How you feeling, dude?
not good.
I'm sorry. It's a rough one. We've all been there. A lot of us have.
I haven't eaten real food since Sunday.
And you're already skinny as a rail.
Mm-hmm.
Not to comment on your body. Sorry about that. That might be an HR violation. Are you okay, though? Is there anything we can do for you?
No, I'm hanging in.
If calling Nico skinny is an HR violation, then,
Well, this is
then I
radio.
don't
It's
even
theater
wanna-
of the mind. So maybe people thought we were joking around when we said that Nico was the security guard for the show, which was said earlier today.
This happened on Monday, though, Nico?
Yeah.
But Nico, you said you had to go back to the dentist.
Yeah, so Wednesday I went back to re-stitch one of, because I got 3 taken out.
Yeah.
So one of them had to get re-stitched, and it still hasn't fully stopped bleeding, which is why, if
So-
you can tell in my voice, there's gauze in my mouth.
Did you go to the Brent Gretzky of dentists?
You got to go to the Wayne Gretzky of taking out wisdom teeth. What have you been eating, if not solids?
Yogurt, chocolate pudding, mashed potatoes. Nothing that's exciting.
Smart to do this after Thanksgiving, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Feeling for you.
Thank you.
Let us know if we can get you a protein shake or something, which maybe that should happen.
Get some Ensure.
You can use this as an opportunity to bulk up a little bit. All right. Well, we feel for Nico. Okay. Lots more to do, including Maggie and Perloff's picks. They come your way next.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff's NFL picks.
It's been a steep ascent into the crevasse.
Oh.
It has been a rough couple weeks, especially for me. Perloff, you're coming off a bad week as well. That's our caveat. That's our warning.
The worst week ever. Thanksgiving was not friendly to me.
EJ, what's our records?
Okay, so Maggie, last week you were another 2-3.
How many weeks in a row is that?
Yeah, you were 2-3. You got Jaguars and you got Cowboys.
I think I'm 2-3 for at least a month.
Yes. So now you're 36-29 overall.
I'm still ahead though.
Perloff, sorry to say this, buddy. You're 0-5 last week.
First 0-5 week we've ever had.
Yep. So now you are 32-33. You dipped below 500 after you were making a steep climb towards Maggie's first place standing.
Wait, below 500?
Yes, because you lost 5.
What's the number?
32-33.
Okay.
Still time though. Good thing we got off to such good starts. Because this mid to late season swoon has just been brutal. This is how we do it. 2 college picks, an against the spread and over under. 3 NFL picks, over under against the spread, and a player prop. Pearl, you want to go first?
Okay. This is it's a tough week because we don't have as many games to choose from, obviously. For the college, I'm going to do my 2 college first. Every time I see Arizona State, and obviously Arizona mailed in that game, but they impress me more and more. They are at -1 right now against Iowa State. So I'm going to run with that team. I'm not even going to look at weather. I don't care about what the stakes are. I feel like Arizona State belongs in the final 12, and I just kind of see that happening. Okay. My over-under. This is tough because the weather is cold, and you got me nervous about it. But I feel like UNLV and Boise State's going to be a shootout. I'm going over 57.5. Neither team is great at tackling, so I feel like it's going to be Ashton Jetney's going to make it a statement. I like Boise State to win the game, and I've had some success with them going over, so I'm going to go back to that well.
Okay. Wait, did you just say about the Iowa State, Arizona State, you don't care about the weather?
No,
it's a Jerry world.
Yeah,
I just had to double check. I'm like, I think that one's inside, so you might be good there.
No, I'm not even I'm not even gonna break down. I guess Matt Campbell never loses in this situation. He's unbelievable in Dallas, and he's a bit of a problem with Iowa State. And EJ, because you know what it was about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, EJ said, "Watch out for Arizona State to win the Big 12." I was like, Arizona State, did they lose to like a bad team? And they've been untouchable since then.
How about, wouldn't this happen? Arizona State wins this game, and somehow Jerry Jones is sitting there and is like, gets Kenny Dillingham to be the next head coach of the Cowboys.
Oh, wow.
I could see it. Anyway, my college picks for this week. I'm going to go with Oregon. I'm going to lay the 3.5. I'm going with the grain here. I have been on the losing side for many weeks in a row, so I'm trying to hopefully take what is not going to be a layup, I'm sure, but I'm going to lean into James Franklin coming up short in big games. And then for my over-under, I'll take SMU and Clemson over 55.5. And the reason why, because I know both of their defenses are good. Style points. I think both of these coaches are going into this game saying, we've got to win, we've got to put up points, we've got to look impressive, because no one trusts this committee when it comes to a conference outside of the Big Ten or the SEC. So the ACC and the Big 12 have to look really pretty here if they want to make sure to avoid, like if SMU loses, that they would still get in. So I think everyone's going for style points. Give me the SMU Clemson over 55.
Yeah, I really like that too, because even if SMU is losing the game, they can't lose badly. So it could be the fourth quarter down 3. That's a really good pick. Okay, let's go to the pros. I'm going to start with my over-under. I'm going with the Simpsons game. The Bengals can't stop anybody. They're at Dallas. Over 49.5. This is really a Cooper Rush stand bet. Love me some Cooper Rush. Very efficient, Maggie. Nobody can throw a little loopy 12-yard pass like my man Cooper Rush. So I'm taking the over-under of that. Again, someone we love. I'm going to go for my prop. Jameis Winston against the Steelers, 254 passing yards. I'm going over on that. Again, every time he throws the ball, could go to a Brown, could go to a Steeler. You never know. That's the most fun part about it. Okay, lastly, Seahawks, +3 at Arizona. I know Arizona played pretty well against the Vikings last week. Doesn't the Seahawks feel like kind of a team of destiny, like they're the team that's going to capture the NFC West now that they're healthy, figured out some things? So I'm going Seattle in Arizona +3.
Interesting. Okay, I like them. I'm going to go with the Sunday night game. Chargers +4. I'm going against our pal Nick Kostos on this one, even though he made some good points about people being a little too down on the Chiefs. I think you give Jim Harbaugh the second crack here at the Chiefs. Chiefs aren't blowing anybody out, and the Chargers and Justin Herbert specifically generally plays well at Arrowhead, which is tough to do. Give me Philly and Carolina under 46. Now, I looked at the weather. Everything's going to be good. It's actually unseasonably warm in Philadelphia on Sunday. It's going to be like high of 50, and it's going to be clear. And I know that Carolina has put some points up even on those Chiefs. I think Philly's defense is so legit. Maybe it's because I sit next to you. And I think they're going to win this game like, 30-something to 7. Or I think they're going to hold Carolina.
I've seen them do that game, 31-7.
Something like that.
Against a bad team, yep.
And then for my player prop, Justin Jefferson. This is a big game with Kirk Cousins coming back to Minnesota. Falcons at the Vikings, but the Falcons secondary is just not good. They're one of the bottom in the league. I think Justin Jefferson could have a really big day. So Sam Darnold, I don't love betting on Sam Darnold, but I think he can get the ball to Jefferson over 6.5 receptions. I'm thinking about a big day here for Justin Jefferson.
I like that. We have not talked enough about the Kirk Cousins revenge game.
Because I'm not sure if he's playing.
Yeah.
He is, but a lot of people think Michael Penix should actually be playing in this game.
Well, I wonder, basically, does Atlanta try and help Kirk Cousins have a big day? Because it's such an emotional game. I feel like everybody, Atlanta is up for this game to help out their guy.
Recap your picks.
Okay, so I have Arizona State -1. I have Boise and UNLV over 57.5. On the pros, I have Bengals Cowboys over 49.5, Seahawks +3. And my man, Jameis Winston, over 254 passing yards.
Okay, I'm going to take Oregon. I'm going to lay the 3.5. SMU and Clemson over 55.5. And then for the pros, give me the Chargers plus the 4 points on the road in Arrowhead. I'll take Philly and Carolina under 46 and Justin Jefferson over 6.5 receptions. Vikings host the Falcons.
Do you realize we'll have a 12-team playoff when we get here on Monday morning?
We could have 12-team playoff.
Well, we will. Yeah.
We will have 12-team playoff. We could also have Juan Soto.
Oh, I forgot about that dude.
The owners' meetings
we
begin
could get that
on
today.
Sunday.
Yeah.
We could have Juan Soto signed. We will have a college football playoff. We
I'm
could
rooting
have more teams clinching playoff spots for the NFL.
I'm rooting for the Dodgers to steal them away from New York because I would laugh so hard at the city if they didn't get Juan Soto.
Boo this man. Boo this man.
They're throwing rotten fruit at you. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you to Nico Scarlatos. Thank you to Ray, who was hanging with us all day. Ray did a bang-up job. Bogusch, Kaplan, the Weedos, the Coffee Drinkers.